Chapter 620. Hong Kong Island, the Fong family's mansion. Fong Anna's sister, Fong Anhui, Father Fong, Mother Fong, and Fong Anna's bodyguard, Zhong Li, were gathered in the hall. On the coffee table in the hall, there was a letter. The content of the letter was to ask for the Fong family's debt. The total amount of the debt was 5 billion. Of course, there was a reason why she owed him 5 billion. Not long ago, Mother Fong had a strange illness. After the treatment of a famous doctor, a prescription was given. In this prescription, there was a guiding medicine called a 500-year-old snake gallbladder. In this day and age, where could one find this kind of snake gallbladder? A 500-year-old snake would probably have become a demon. However, with the efforts of Fong Anhui and her bodyguards, they really found a 500-year-old snake. However, the person who took care of this 500-year-old monster was not Fong Anhui's bodyguard, but a person called Master Yi. For the snake gallbladder, Fong Anhui asked Master Yi for it and promised a reward. At first, Master Yi did not agree no matter what. In a hurry, Fong Anhui directly started the sky-high price of 5 billion. Only then did Master Yi agree and give the snake gallbladder to Fong Anhui. However, Fong Anhui was just stalling. She pretended to cheat the snake gallbladder and then directly reneged on the debt. But unexpectedly, Master Yi actually sent someone to find the Fong family. Furthermore, he sent someone to deliver a letter. It was the letter that was spread on the coffee table at this moment. The general content of the letter was to ask Fong Anhui to pay off the 5 billion debt within 3 days. Otherwise, she would have to bear the consequences. In this regard, Fong Anhui found a little funny. When she was hunting snakes in the deep mountains, Fong Anhui was still worried about Master Yi. However, after returning to the Fong family in Hong Kong Island, why would she need to be afraid of Master Yi? Hong Kong Island was free. She only said that she would give Master Yi 5 billion. She did not even write an IOU. This did not have any legal effect at all. Master Yi wanted 5 billion with empty words. It was simply wishful thinking. Fong Anhui had made up her mind not to give the 5 billion. As for Master Yi coming to find trouble, there was no need to worry too much about this problem. Instead of paying off the 5 billion debt, it was better to spend tens of millions to hire some experts to guard the Fong family. No matter how powerful that Master Yi was, he would not dare to be presumptuous here. Moreover, Hong Kong Island was free. If he dared to act recklessly, she would directly call the relevant departments to punish this Master Yi. What era was it now? Martial arts had long been outdated. No matter how high your martial arts skills are, can you withstand modern firearms? What bullsh**t Grandmaster Yi? Just ignore him. If he dares to barge into the Fong family, let him come in standing and leave lying down. After a moment of silence in the hall, Fong Anhui spoke first with disdain. This Grandmaster Yi is dreaming. He actually wants 5 billion. What a joke. Mother Fong, who had British noble blood, echoed in pure Yin language. Mother Fong was in her 40s, but she maintained herself well. She had a good figure and looked like she was in her 30s. She was a foreign beauty. Fong Anna and Fong Anhui had inherited part of their mother's excellent genes. Their faces and silhouettes were a combination of the fire countries and the foreign lands aesthetics, and they were two proper, mixed blood beauties. But relatively speaking, Fong Anhui was only 18 years old. Compared to Fong Anna, her curves were slightly younger. But Fong Anhui was a mixed blood beauty. She had a natural sense of maturity. This kind of youthfulness mixed and did not reduce her points at all. It added a special kind of attractiveness to her. She was charming, but did not lose her purity. My Fong family has stood on Hong Kong Island for 100 years. How can a martial artist be able to shake us? Father Fong leisurely drank his tea, as steady as Mount Tai. He did not take this matter to heart at all. Compared to the optimism of Fong Anhui's family of 3, Zhong Li was much more worried. At that time, the 500-year-old strange snake showed its power. Fong Anhui was so scared that she looked for a place to hide. She did not see the whole process of Grandmaster Yi killing the strange snake. But Zhong Li clearly saw at that time that Grandmaster Yi's methods were completely out of the scope of martial arts. Fong Anhui thought that Grandmaster Yi was a martial artist. She was very wrong. But seeing that Feng Anhui's family of 3 did not take Grandmaster Yi seriously at all, she could not help but persuade. Second miss, things are not as simple as you think. That Grandmaster Yi killed the strange snake in the air. He is not as simple as a martial artist. I'm afraid it is not an exaggeration to call him an immortal. If the Feng family insists on doing this, I'm afraid that a disaster will befall them. Feng Anhui had heard similar words from Zhongli so many times that her ears were about to grow calluses. Alarmist talk. Feng Anhui pursed her lips. I think you've been scared silly by that strange snake. How can there be immortals in this world? That Grandmaster Yi is at most a powerful martial artist. Stepping on the void and killing the snake in one move are all your illusions. Father Feng and Mother Feng had similar thoughts. The two of them had seen a lot of things, but they had never heard of any immortals in this world. This was contrary to their worldview. Naturally, they felt that Zhongli's words were ridiculous. Zhongli saw their attitudes and sighed deeply. She knew that no matter how she tried to persuade them, it was useless. The most rational and clear-headed person in the entire Feng family should be the eldest miss. Moreover, only the eldest miss would believe her. Zhongli was glad that she had the foresight to inform the eldest miss of this matter. After the eldest miss received the news, she should have arrived if her leave application went smoothly. Zhongli's only worry was that the eldest miss master would not let her go. Just as Zhongli was worrying, a servant walked into the hall to report. Master, the eldest miss is back. Sister is back? That's great. Feng Anhui was overjoyed. She skipped outside to welcome her. Zhongli also breathed a sigh of relief and quickly followed her. When Feng Anna was very young, Zhongli became her bodyguard. It could be said that Zhongli had watched Feng Anna grow up. To a certain extent, Feng Anna's dependence on Zhongli exceeded that of her parents. It was the same for Zhongli. She was not married and did not have a daughter. She almost treated Feng Anna as half a daughter. Wow, Anna, your house is so grand. The eldest princess of the Feng family really lives up to her name. This place looks similar to an ancient palace. Feng Anna led Wang Haoren and the others into the Feng family mansion. Song Zhihui looked at the various decorations in the mansion and exclaimed in admiration. It's all right. Feng Anna forced a smile in response. She used to think so too. She was incomparably noble as the eldest princess of the Feng family. Almost everyone in Hong Kong had to give in to her. However, after a trip to Qingling, she was taught a lesson. Now, she had become someone's servant. She cooked, washed, and wiped the floor. She was almost a professional nanny. The so-called eldest princess of the Feng family was just a joke. Feng Anna tried not to think about these things that worried her. She suddenly changed the topic and said to Song Zhihui meaningfully, You, on the other hand, have kept me in the dark. You said that you and my master and my boss are just ordinary friends. But the relationship between you two is a bit deep. Chapter 6:21. Feng Anna was too embarrassed to call Wang Hao master in front of others, so she used the title of boss instead. Hearing Feng Anna's meaningful words, Song Zhihui's pretty face immediately flushed red. During the flight to Fragrant Island, Wang Hao disappeared with Feng Xuansu, Ning Aoxue, and Song Zhihui. Feng Anna was not stupid. She just guessed something. After living in the villa for so long, Feng Anna could tell what Feng Xuansu and Ning Aoxue were thinking about. It was normal for them to be with Wang Hao. She had to admit that she was really lucky to have a boss. Ning Aoxue's face, figure, and temperament were all excellent. She could be called a peerless beauty in the world. Feng Xuansu was even more so. If such a woman was in ancient times, she would be a disaster that could destroy a country. The flight was a little boring. Therefore, it was normal for Wang Hao, Feng Xuansu, and Ning Aoxue to disappear. However, Wang Hao and Song Zhihui's disappearance was out of Feng Anna's expectations. More importantly, when Song Zhihui left and reappeared in front of her, Feng Anna found that her best friend's face was rosy and her eyes were rippling. Feng Anna naturally guessed something from it. Of course, Feng Anna's imagination was not that wild. She just thought that Wang Haoran and Song Zhihui went to a place on the plain where they would not be disturbed and did something that could not be told to others. She did not expect that Wang Haoran would go to the heaven-splitting tower to cultivate and bond. Song Zhihui was a little embarrassed by Feng Anna's gaze and did not know how to answer. Fortunately, two people walked over. One was a middle-aged woman, and the other was an 18-year-old girl. The 18-year-old girl's appearance was somewhat similar to Feng Anna's. Song Zhihui knew some things about Feng Anna's family, so she naturally knew who her family members were. This 18-year-old girl must be Feng Anna's younger sister, Feng Anhui. As for the middle-aged woman, Song Zhihui had seen her when she was abroad. They were quite familiar with each other. At that time, Feng Anna was studying abroad, and the middle-aged woman was accompanying her. She was Feng Anna's bodyguard and also Feng Anna's only blood-related relative. "Aunt Joan, I'm so happy to see you. Long time no see." Song Zhihui greeted Zhongli. "Zhihui, you're here too." Zhongli was happy and responded with a smile. But soon she noticed that there were 3 other people besides Song. She had seen Wang Haoran before. She had offended him at that time and had even been injured. Until now, there was still some fear in her heart. "Sister, you're finally back. Is Qingling that fun? Why did you stay there for so long?" Feng Anhui came forward, grabbed Feng Anna's hand, and said bitterly. Only Zhongli knew that Feng Anna was a nanny in Qingling Feng Anhui, and the others didn't know about it. As she spoke of Anna's. Among them, 3 of the women were very beautiful. They were not inferior to her and her sister in the slightest. One of them, in particular, even made her feel a little inferior. That woman was Anna's. However, Feng Anhui didn't look at them for a long time. Her gaze was attracted by the only boy among them. Feng Anhui took a look and couldn't move her eyes away. "Ding! Congratulations to the host Luck for meeting the supporting female lead Feng Anhui for the first time. Super Peach Blossom Halo has triggered the first grade Give Your Body to Her effect. Ding! The supporting female lead Feng Anhui's affability towards the host has increased to 80. Deep affection. The sudden system message made Wang Haoran feel something he hadn't felt in a long time. The Super Peach Blossom Halo had been a decoration for a long time. It finally had some movement, but from a certain point of view, it was better if it didn't trigger. Because this Feng Anhui wasn't the female lead, but a supporting female lead. Or more accurately, she was the female lead in Yi Fan's main storyline who was slapped in the face and then subdued. For a supporting female lead, the Charm Halo was more useful because it could directly increase their affability. But now that the Peach Blossom Halo had been triggered, the Charm Halo couldn't be used. The effects of the 2 halos wouldn't stack. Wang Haoran secretly noted that if he was going to meet a supporting female lead for the first time in the future, he should temporarily deactivate the Peach Blossom Halo so that it wouldn't be triggered. After this thought flashed through his mind, Wang Haoran also started to size up Feng Anhui. In Yi Fan's storyline, although there was only one female lead, there were still many female characters who were as beautiful as the female lead. They might even be comparable to the harem, but the difference was that Yi Fan wouldn't touch them in the storyline, nor would he accept them. The supporting female lead's final position was to act as Yi Fan's servant and then work for Yi Fan. According to Yi Fan's storyline, the Feng family would fall into Feng Anhui's hands in the future. Moreover, Feng Anhui would eventually become Yi Fan's spokesperson in Hong Kong Island. By then, Hong Kong Island would be considered as a complete map. Yi Fan would then change to another map to show off. Of course, this was under the premise that Yi Fan's storyline could progress smoothly. "I have some business matters to deal with in Qingling. I'm not going there to play." Feng Anna didn't dare to state her current situation, so she made up an excuse. But after she finished speaking, she noticed that her sister was staring at Wang Haoran, who was next to her. And it wasn't the normal kind of sizing up. It was the kind of sizing up with special vigor. Feng Anna's eyesight was pretty good. Her sister's gaze was almost the same as Ning Aoshue and Feng Xuanzu's when they looked at Wang Haoran. After noticing this, Feng Anna had a bad feeling. Wang Haoran's side was already complicated enough. She really didn't want her sister to get involved. This stupid sister of hers was a straightforward person. She wasn't scheming. If she got involved, would she be able to fight against those other women? Moreover, Wang Haoran couldn't split himself and couldn't take care of them. No matter how she looked at it, this wasn't a good thing for Feng Anhui. Anhui, let me introduce you. This is my friend. His name is Wang Haoran. Feng Anna's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly took the initiative to introduce him. Then she turned to Feng Xuansu and the others and introduced their names one by one. After that, she naturally added their boyfriend and girlfriend. Feng Anhui was stunned. Disappointment flashed across her face. Then she glanced at Feng Xuansu, Ning Aoxue, and Song Zhihui. She couldn't help but ask her sister, "Who's his girlfriend?" "All of them," Feng Anna replied with a smile. Feng Anhui's youthful and beautiful face stiffened. Wang Haoran heard it and couldn't help but glance at Feng Anna. As if sensing Wang Haoran's gaze, Feng Anna pretended to blame herself. She apologized in a pitiful voice. "Oh, I'm sorry. I said something wrong." Chapter 622. Hearing Feng Anna's words, Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes and looked at her. Wang Haoran didn't forget Feng Anna's behavior when he first met her. This fellow was a very shrewd and scheming cat. But later, she was frightened by him and didn't dare to play such tricks. During the time when she was the nanny in the villa, she performed well and didn't play any tricks. But now that she was back in the Feng family, Feng Anna did the same thing again. It seemed that she had gained a lot of courage after returning to the Feng family. Feng Anna and Feng Anhui's words were clearly revealing to her that Wang Haoran had a few girlfriends. In this way, she could dispel Feng Anhui's thoughts. After Feng Anna finished speaking, she was still a little nervous. But to her surprise, Wang Haoran didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and replied to her, "It's okay, you're telling the truth." Seeing Wang Haoran's reaction, Feng Anna was puzzled, because she felt that Wang Haoran's attitude was a little too good. Is it because we're in the Feng family's territory and he has some scruples, so he doesn't dare to be rude to me? Otherwise, he wouldn't be so pleasant, even if he wasn't angry. The more Feng Anna thought about it, the straighter her back. After returning to Qingling, she would talk about it later. Now, in the Feng family, she was still the noble princess of the Feng family. Thinking of this, Feng Anna didn't lower herself to lead the way for him like before. Instead, she jumped to the front and slightly raised her proud and noble head. "Please." Then, without waiting for Wang Haoran's response, she turned and walked directly in front. Wang Haoran saw that Feng Anna had regained a little confidence and couldn't help but feel a little funny. But for a moment, he didn't say anything and just followed Feng Xuansu and the others. Feng Anhui also followed along. On the way to the hall, her beautiful eyes kept looking at Wang Haoran with a slightly complicated expression. No one knew what she was thinking. Soon, they arrived at the hall. Feng Anna invited Wang Haoran and the others to take a seat and ordered the servants to serve tea. Then, she briefly introduced them to her parents, saying that Wang Haoran and the others were her friends. Mr. and Mrs. Feng saw that this group of people were all handsome men and beautiful women with extraordinary temperaments. They expected that they must be from extraordinary backgrounds, so they warmly greeted Wang Haoran and the others. Then, Anna began to ask about the whole process. When the snake hunting, both Feng Anhui and Zhongli were there. Feng Anhui felt that Grandmaster Yi was just a powerful martial artist, while Zhongli felt that Grandmaster Ye's methods surpassed martial arts, and he was suspected to be an immortal. In contrast, Feng Anna's assistee, after all, Feng Anna didn't see the snake at the time. Of course, Feng Anna still felt that Zhongli was exaggerating. She didn't believe there was an immortal immortals. Feng thought. Master was a masters. Wang Zadis. When martial arts reached a certain level, one could break away from the restrictions of the rules. Although Feng Anna was disappointed in her family, she didn't want the Feng family to decline or even be wiped out. Therefore, she was very cautious. Being targeted by a master at the peak of martial arts was definitely a restless thing. 5 billion is too much. Have you talked to Master Yi to lower the price? Feng Anna asked. There's no need to talk. It's impossible. While I bought the snake gallbladder, I talked to Master Yi. Master Yi asked for 5 billion, not a cent less. Feng Anhui said, and couldn't help but smile. However, he's quite stupid. He didn't want an IOU. I just made a verbal promise, and he gave me the snake gallbladder. Wang Haoran, who was drinking tea quietly, looked at Feng Anhui as if she was a fool. Feng Anhui noticed Wang Haoran's gaze and thought he was admiring her. She was flattered and smiled sweetly at him. Feng Anna frowned as she watched. She couldn't understand why Feng Xuansu, Ning Aoshue, and Song Zhihui were all sticking to Wang Haoran. But that was the wish of Feng Xuansu and the others. Of course, Feng Anna couldn't stop anything and had no reason to stop it. But Feng Anhui was different. As Feng Anhui's sister, Feng Anna had the right to intervene in this matter. However, it was definitely not suitable to discuss these issues with Feng Anhui in public. The most important thing now was how to deal with Master Ye's debt. According to the letter, Master Yi must see the debt in 3 days. The letter was delivered yesterday, and now a day and a half had passed. Do you know where Master Yi lives? Feng Anna asked. He lives in the Qian family, Feng Anhui replied. The Qian family of the Million Treasure Chamber of Commerce? How did Master Yi get involved with the Qian family? Feng Anna was surprised. Who knows? But what is the Qian family? How many years has it been in Hong Kong? How can it be compared with our Feng family that has been in Hong Kong for hundreds of years? Feng Anhui's tone was disdainful. Feng Anna didn't answer. The Qian family was a rising family in Hong Kong. It hadn't even been 10 years. But in Hong Kong, it was very xenophobic. The Qian family could fight for a place in Hong Kong in such an environment. It was enough to see that the Qian family's patriarch was not simple. All right, the big fatty from the Qian family. It was said that he wanted to betroth his daughter to Master Yi. Qian Baobao was so angry. I saw Qian Baobao yesterday and even mocked her. She almost died of anger. Feng Anhui suddenly remembered something and could not help but laugh. Hearing that, Wang Haoran's heart moved. Needless to say, this Qian Baobao must be very beautiful and should be one of the female supporting characters. But from Feng Anhui's description, Qian Baobao was extremely opposed to being betrothed. That was because Master Yi had not really pretended yet. The real change in Qian Baobao's attitude, or rather, falling in love with Yi Fan, should be related to stepping on the Feng family's pretense. After sorting out all these, Wang Haoran secretly clicked his tongue. It seemed that Yi Fan pretended to win the hearts of the two beautiful girls. Of course, that was on the premise that Wang Haoran did nothing and just watched the show, allowing the plot to develop smoothly. After Feng Anna found out about Master Ye's residence, she immediately wrote a letter and had someone send it to the Qian family. She wanted to ask Master Yi out and have a face-to-face talk. She wanted to negotiate the price to an acceptable level. After the letter was sent, all that was left was to wait. It was close to noon. Feng Anna first arranged a place for Wang Haoran and the rest to stay, then invited them to have a meal together. On the other side, the letter was successfully sent to the Qian family and into the hands of the Qian family's patriarch, Qian Wansan. Qian Wansan took the letter and came to a quiet courtyard in the Qian family. He then handed the letter to Yi Fan. Master Yi, the Feng family sent someone to deliver a letter for you. Qian Wansan reported with a smile. Read it. Yi Fan closed his eyes and laid on the lounge chair in the courtyard. He looked very relaxed as he lightly uttered a word. Chapter 6:23. Hearing that, Qian Wansan read the contents of the letter to Yi Fan. The general content of the letter was that Feng Anna first expressed her admiration for Master Yi, then requested to meet Master Yi. Yi Fan only sneered at that. Of course, he could guess that Feng Anna wanted a bargain with him. Qian Wansan observed his expression and knew that Master Yi would probably not meet her. However, he was smart and would not make the decision for Master Yi. Instead, he respectfully asked for instructions. Master Yi, what do you think? Help me reply to the letter. Say that the original 5 billion is overdue. Now, I want to add interest and raise it to 10 billion, Yi Fan said calmly. Master Yi, that's too much. I'm afraid that 10 billion will empty out the entire Feng family. They definitely won't agree. Qian Wansan was shocked. Do as I say, Yi Fan said. Qian Wansan secretly frowned, thinking that Master Yi was too arrogant. If it was 5 billion, the Feng family might still have a chance to come up with it. However, 10 billion was absolutely impossible. That was asking for the Feng family's life. Would the Feng family not fight for it? However, almost everyone in Hong Kong knew that the Qian family was tied to Master Yi. They even knew that Qian Wansan wanted to marry his daughter to Master Yi. Qian Wansan was already in a difficult position. Yes, although Qian Wansan was worried, it was too late to draw a line with Master Yi. He could only bite the bullet and follow the order. After replying, Qian Wansan left respectfully. Yi Fan slowly opened his eyes at that moment. Although he did not open his eyes, he could tell from Qian Wansan's tone that he was worried. Fortunately, this guy did not raise any questions. Yi Fan was quite satisfied with Qian Wansan's attitude. As for asking the Feng family for 10 billion, Yi Fan felt that there was no problem at all. It was Feng Anhui who exceeded the deadline. Of course, he had to add interest. Did they really think that it was so easy to owe the profound heaven celestial lord a debt? In his previous life, there was a clan leader of a race in the universe who also owed the profound heaven celestial lord a debt and wanted to renege. In the end, Yi Fan wiped out the entire race. That was the price of not paying the profound heaven celestial lord a debt. Asking the Feng family for 5 billion in interest was already very merciful of Yi. After Qian Wansan left the courtyard, he replied to the Feng family. After Feng Anna received the letter, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak. She originally wanted to bargain a little, but she did not expect that not only did Grandmaster Yi not give her a chance, he even added interest. Furthermore, the interest would be 5 billion yuan. What Grandmaster Yi? He's a robber. Why doesn't he just rob? Feng Anna was hopping mad. Sis, I told you long ago that this Grandmaster Yi is a lunatic. There's no reasoning with him. Do you believe me now? Feng Anhui, on the other hand, was not that surprised because she had already witnessed this Grandmaster Yi's ability to take people by surprise. Wang Haoran listened calmly from the side. After replicating Yi Fan's memories, he understood Yi Fan's way of doing things. Reason? This was under the condition that both sides were equal in status. Who was Yi Fan? He was a celestial venerable in his previous life and viewed mortals as ants. Would a venerable immortal reason with a mortal? This was just like how a person would reason with an ant. How is that possible? Sis, ignore this lunatic. Our Feng family has dozens of bodyguards, and all of them are experts. If he dares to come, we'll make him suffer, Feng Anhui said. Feng Anna glanced at her sister from the corner of her eyes. It was not without reason that she secretly called Feng Anhui a stupid sister, because this sister of hers really did not have a brain. She was too stupid. When they went to hunt the snake, they also brought dozens of bodyguards. But what happened in the end? Half of them died, but the snake was killed by Grandmaster Yi before they could even kill it. It would be strange if dozens of bodyguards could deal with Grandmaster Yi. Based on Zhong Li's description, Feng Anna felt that this Grandmaster Yi had already reached an extremely high level in the path of martial arts. Normal firearms could not deal with him at all. And those heavy firearms, the Feng family did not have the ability to mobilize them. To deal with this Grandmaster Yi, they still needed to fight force with force. Anna, don't worry. With Haoran here, that Master Yi won't be able to do anything to the Feng family. Song Zhihui saw that her best friend Feng Anna was so worried, so she couldn't help but comfort her. Who was her boyfriend? He was an immortal emperor. Not to mention one Grandmaster Yi. Even 10 of them were probably nothing. Zhihui, thank you for your kindness. But you're guests from afar. I really don't want you to get involved. Feng Anna was a little grateful and smiled at her best friend. However, although her words were polite, in reality, she felt that Wang Haoran would not be able to deal with this matter. Previously, when they were in Qingling, Wang Haoran had injured Zhong Li. At that time, Zhong Li judged that Wang Haoran's cultivation was only at the neutralizing Grandmaster level. And according to Zhong Li's description, that Grandmaster Yi was far more than that. Asking Wang Haoran to deal with Grandmaster Yi Was that not sending him to his death? Although Feng Anna was a little repulsed by the identity of a maid, this boss had helped her in the end. Moreover, during the time she was a nanny in the villa, the boss did not treat her badly. More importantly, the boss didn't force himself to do that kind of thing to her. Feng Anna herself found it unbelievable that she could still maintain her innocence until now. After all, although she was not as beautiful as Feng Xuansu, she was on the same level as Ning Aoxue and Song Zhihui. If the boss was interested in them, why didn't he take a fancy to her? Of course, Feng Anna was not looking forward to being taken a fancy to. She just felt that it was strange. When Song Zhihui heard what Feng Anna said, she knew that she did not believe in Wang Haoren's ability. However, she did not want to reveal too much. More importantly, Wang Haoren did not say anything. Song Zhihui felt that, as a concubine, how could she make the decision for the emperor? Anna, what do you plan to do? Song Zhihui asked. That Grandmaster Yi may be powerful, but it's not like no one in Hong Kong could defeat him, Feng Anna said. There are also powerhouses at the peak of martial arts in Hong Kong. However, the price to hire him was not small. However, this Grandmaster Yi was not willing to let the Feng family bargain at all. He even asked for an exorbitant price and added 5 billion in interest. In comparison, Feng Anna was more willing to pay an acceptable price to buy insurance. Thinking so, Feng Anna immediately went to talk to her parents about this matter. At first, Father Feng and Mother Feng were unwilling to agree. After all, without a few hundred million in remuneration, they really could not hire him. Although the Feng family had a big business, it was still very painful to spend a few hundred million for nothing. However, Feng Anna managed to convince her parents with her glib tongue. Chapter 624. After Feng Anna received her parents' approval, she immediately sent someone to handle this matter. The next morning, it was also the last day given by Master Yi. The people Feng Anna invited to intimidate Yi Fan arrived as promised. There were two people. One of them was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary aura, and the other was a young talent. The Feng family received the two guests in the living room. The middle-aged man's name was Lei Wanxing, the #1 martial arts powerhouse on Hong Kong Island. And the Myriad Elements Martial Arts Academy he founded was even more famous on Hong Kong Island. The young talent next to Lei Wanxing was the eldest senior brother of the Myriad Elements Martial Arts Academy and Lei Wanxing's proudest disciple. His name was Ling Tianzong. After Wang Haoren heard the news, he wanted to see what was going on, so he asked Feng Anhui to lead the way. Feng Anhui naturally agreed eagerly. On the way to the living room, Feng Anhui took the initiative to introduce the person Feng Anna invited. According to Feng Anhui's description, this Lei Wanxing was very amazing and could be said to be the #1 martial artist on Hong Kong Island. However, Wang Haoren couldn't help but sigh when he heard it. Because this Lei Wanxing, he knew that in Yi Fan's plot, this was a stepping stone that Yi Fan stepped on to show off. What #1 martial artist on Hong Kong Island? It was completely to set off Yi Fan. Wang Haoren could completely guess the subsequent main storyline. After Yi Fan dealt with Lei Wanxing, he would definitely become famous on Hong Kong Island. When he was in Xiongzhou, Yi Fan personally said that he would only meet Feng Yuruo when his name shook the world. Face-slapping Lei Wanxing's name on Hong Kong Island was just the beginning. As they spoke, Wang Haoren and Feng Anhui also came to the living room and sat down quietly. At this moment, Feng Anna said, "I'll have to trouble Master Lei with this matter. After it's done, I'll pay you the reward according to what the messenger told you. The reward isn't important. I just want to see how powerful this legendary Master Yi is." Lei Wanxing's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. During the period of time Yi Fan came to Hong Kong Island, he had caused a lot of trouble. Many people on Hong Kong Island knew of Master Yi's existence. Some even compared Master Yi to Master Lei. Lei Wanxing was obviously very unhappy about this. "Master Lei, do you mean that you won't be getting paid?" Papa Feng couldn't help but be overjoyed when he heard that and hurriedly asked. Although the Feng family was rich, it was still very painful for them to take out a few hundred million at once. If he could let Lei Wanxing take action for free, that would be great. There is no need for any remuneration. Just treat it as making friends with Mr. Feng. Lei Wanqing smiled meaningfully. Since Papa Feng was able to manage the Feng family so well, he wasn't an idiot. Naturally, he could tell the deeper meaning behind Lei Wanqing's words. Master Lei, why don't you speak frankly? Papa Feng said with a smile. Lei Wanqing looked at his eldest disciple, Ling Tianzong, and then at Feng Anna. I heard that your eldest daughter's engagement with someone has been annulled. Is this true? That's indeed the case. Papa Feng nodded and immediately understood. Lei Wanqing smiled and continued. Mr. Feng, what do you think of my eldest disciple, Ling Tianzong? Is he worthy of your eldest daughter? Papa Feng had already vaguely guessed it, but he didn't expect Lei Wanqing to be so direct. However, Papa Feng didn't object to this. Lei Wanqing had a high status in Hong Kong, and the Wanqing Martial Arts Academy was full of talents. Everyone in Hong Kong knew that Lei Wanqing doted on his eldest disciple, Ling Tianzong, the most. He practically treated him as his own. Ling Tianzong himself was also very outstanding. At the age of 20, it was said that he was already a neutralizing strength grandmaster. His future was limitless. Although the Feng family was strong enough, it was only in business. If they set up the Wanqing Martial Arts Academy, who would they be afraid of in Hong Kong? Thinking of this, Papa Feng immediately made a decision. Haha, Master Lei's eldest disciple is a martial arts genius that everyone in Hong Kong Island knows about. He's also so handsome. He and my eldest daughter are simply a match made in heaven, Father Feng said with a clear laugh. Hearing this, Lei Wanqing knew that this matter was settled. Ling Tianzong, who was beside him, originally maintained a cold appearance, but at this moment, he couldn't help but grin. However, the other party started to frown. Feng Anna was extremely repulsed by the arranged marriage, because she didn't like others controlling her fate, even if this person was her father. Since Mr. Feng is also interested, why don't we choose a date for the engagement of these two juniors? Lei Wanqing said. Papa Feng opened his mouth and wanted to immediately respond with the word okay. However, before he could say this word, he was interrupted by Feng Anna's words. Father, you should at least ask me if I'm willing to do this, right? Anna, I seem to have taught you not to interrupt when the elders are talking, right? Papa Feng said with some displeasure. This concerns my life. Don't I even have the right to express my opinion? Feng Anna retorted with a tit-for-tat question. Anna, what's wrong with you? You're actually contradicting your father, Mama Feng reprimanded. Young people nowadays like to love freely. It's normal for them to resist the arrangements of their elders. I think we should let these two juniors get to know each other first. We'll talk about this later, Lei Wanqing suddenly said. As soon as these words came out, the situation eased slightly. Feng Anna took the overall situation into consideration and didn't continue to say anything. Now that the Feng family was in danger, they needed to rely on Lei Wanqing. She had already brushed off Lei Wanqing's face by saying that just now. It was already a great fortune that Lei Wanqing didn't take it to heart. If he continued to speak, then he would be a little ungrateful. Of course, she wouldn't agree to this marriage no matter what. Her marriage with Yin Yuntian had been decided when she was young. At that time, she had no choice. Now that she had grown up, she had the right to decide the direction of her life. Wang Haoren watched quietly from the side, a little puzzled. In Yifan's plot, there was only one female lead, and it had already been confirmed that it was Feng Yuruo. Although Feng Anna was the female lead, logically speaking, she shouldn't have that kind of relationship with Yifan. This Ling Tianzong's existence was obviously to attract hatred. It was impossible for Yifan to like Feng Anna. How could this hatred be drawn? However, Wang Haoren quickly thought of another main character. This main character was naturally Yin Yuntian. Ling Tianzong's existence should be a slap in the face by Yin Yuntian. However, Yin Yuntian was already dead. Naturally, it was impossible for him to slap Ling Tianzong's face. Of course, Yin Yuntian was gone. However, all the female leads in Yin Yuntian's plot were all regarded as his by Wang Haoren. Feng Xuansu and Ning Aoshue were the same. Naturally, Feng Anna was no exception. This Ling Tianzong still wanted to have ideas about Feng Anna. It was purely wishful thinking. With the arrival of Lei Wanqing, the Feng family was relieved and felt that there was nothing wrong. The day passed quickly, and it was midnight. The 3-day deadline that Master Yi said had completely passed. The Feng family, Lei Wanqing and Ling Tianzong, who were invited to help, didn't rest. They all gathered in the hall. A moment after the grandfather clock in the hall chimed 12 o'clock at midnight. Yi, Master Yi is here. A servant hurried to the hall to report. Chapter 625. In the hall, the important members of the Feng family, Lei Wanqing and Ling Tianzong, as well as Wang Haoran, who came to watch the show, were all gathered there. When they heard the servant's report, the Feng family subconsciously tensed up. However, this kind of nervousness only lasted for a very short moment before it dissipated. Grandmaster Ye's name was indeed very famous in Hong Kong recently, but he was not qualified to do whatever he wanted in the Feng family. After all, there was another more famous Grandmaster Lei here. How many people did Grandmaster Yi bring? Feng Anna asked the servant. He brought 2 people, the servant replied. 2. Feng Anna was surprised for a moment. She seemed to think that Grandmaster Yi brought too few people, but she quickly realized that these 2 people might be martial arts experts. She quickly asked again, do you know those 2 people? One is the boss of the 1,000 Treasure Chamber of Commerce, Qian Wansan, and the other is Qian Wansan's daughter, Qian Baobao, the servant said. Qian Wansan and Qian Baobao had a certain reputation in Hong Kong, so the Feng family's servants naturally knew them. However, after Feng Anna heard the servant's answer, she could not help but feel a little stunned. Qian Wansan was a big fat man. He was good at making money, but forget about martial arts, even running a few steps was difficult. As for Qian Baobao, there was no need to mention her. She was very beautiful, but she was a weak woman without the strength to truss a chicken. This Grandmaster Yi brought 2 people who were of no help to collect debts. He's really arrogant. Just as Feng Anna was puzzled, Lei Wanqing snorted coldly. In his opinion, this Grandmaster Yi was proud of his extraordinary martial arts, so he did not bother to bring helpers and even brought 2 burdens over. Grandmaster Lei, in my opinion, that Grandmaster Yi definitely doesn't know that you're here. Otherwise, even if you give him 100 guts, he wouldn't dare to come over like this. Feng Anna needed to rely on Lei Wanqing. When she noticed the change in Lei Wanqing's mood, she subconsciously said this in an attempt to get closer to Lei Wanqing and the Feng family. Hearing this, Lei Wanqing's taut face quickly relaxed, because he agreed with what Feng Anna said. Brother Feng, you have a good daughter. The more Lei Wanqing looked at Feng Anna, the more he liked her. He couldn't help but say this to Papa Feng with a smile. Brother Lei, you flatter me. You have a good disciple. Papa Feng also laughed. Both of them wanted to promote the marriage between Feng Anna and Ling Tianzong, so their relationship became much closer. Feng Anna frowned and secretly blamed herself for talking too much. She shouldn't have said those words to save Lei Wanqing's face. Ling Tianzong was quite happy. He gazed at Feng Anna with infatuation. Feng Anna glanced at Ling Tianzong and looked away unhappily. She then looked at Feng Anhui, who was talking to Wang Haoran in a low voice in the hall. Isn't that baby Qian very beautiful? In order to confirm baby Qian's identity as the female supporting character, Wang Haoran asked Feng Anhui in a low voice. The reason why he asked that question was because he didn't use his X-ray vision. It was because the Feng family's residence was too big, and this place was very far from the main gate. Furthermore, it was the middle of the night, so he couldn't see clearly. Very beautiful. She's the pure and lovely type of beauty, but her personality is the complete opposite of her appearance. She's very dirty and has a bad temper. Feng Anhui ridiculed. Then, she asked curiously, why are you asking about her? Are you interested in this baby Qian? How is that possible? There's such a beauty in front of me. Why would I give up what's close at hand for what's far away? Wang Haoran revealed a handsome smile. You? What do you mean by that? Are you talking about my sister or me? Feng Anhui was fascinated by this smile and couldn't help but ask. Wang Haoran inadvertently glanced at Feng Anna, who was close to eavesdrop. He slightly raised his voice and said to Feng Anhui, your sister is only slightly beautiful. How can she be compared to you? Of course I'm talking about you. That can't be. My sister is very beautiful and more mature than me. Her figure is also better than mine. Feng Anhui couldn't believe it. I don't think she's good looking. Instead, I admire girls like you who are a little immature. Wang Haoran said. Feng Anhui believed this very much. Speaking of which, she was about the same age as Wang Haoran. It was normal for them to be attracted to each other. Her sister might not be Wang Haoran's cup of tea. Actually, I think you're also very good. Feng Anhui expressed her feelings in a low voice, but she said it very tactfully. Their voices were not loud, but Feng Anna, who was close to them, still heard some of it. Although she didn't hear the whole thing, Feng Anna knew from her sister's blushing face that it was not a good thing. She pretended to walk over casually, sat down next to him, and asked Wang Haoran, "Where are your girlfriends? Why don't I see them?" These words woke Feng Anhui up from her daze. Just now, she was so dizzy that she forgot that Wang Haoran had several girlfriends. Now that Feng Anna mentioned it, Feng Anhui also returned to reality from her longing. Even the blush on her face faded a little. Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes and looked at Feng Anna. They don't like to watch the fun, so they went to rest. Oh, is that so? Feng Anna replied casually. After you returned to the Feng family, you seem to be very different from when you were in Qingling. Do you feel that you have someone to rely on? Wang Haoran said with some deep meaning. Feng Anna looked in the direction of Lei Wanqing and Ling Tianzong subconsciously, and then replied, In my eyes, this Ling Tianzong is no different from Yan Yantian. Moreover, you were there during the day. I'm very against the engagement. I understand. Wang Haoran nodded, and then looked at Feng Anna deeply, and said to her in a low voice, You may not agree to this marriage, but you must have thought of using Lei Wanqing's power to get rid of me, right? Feng Anna was shocked when her thoughts were pointed out. She looked at Wang Haoran in disbelief. Indeed, she had thought of this in her heart, although she hadn't done it yet. Wang Haoran saw Feng Anna's expression and continued in a voice that only Feng Anna could hear. However, you're thinking too much. This so-called Master Lei is nothing in front of Master Yi. Hearing Wang Haoran's words, Feng Anna was shocked, but then she felt that Wang Haoran was a little alarmist. You don't believe me? Then we'll wait and see. Wang Haoran smiled. Why are you so sure? Do you know that Master Yi? Feng Anna asked doubtfully. Not close, but I know him. Wang Haoran said. That Master Yi, how's his martial arts cultivation? How much higher is it than Master Lei? Feng Anna continued to ask. How high is his martial arts cultivation? Ignorant woman, your thinking is too simple, Wang Haoran said in an unfathomable manner. Go and invite that Master Yi in. I want to see how strong he is. Before Feng Anna could say anything, Lei Wanqing, who was in the hall, suddenly said something loudly. Chapter 626. After the servant heard that, she went to invite them over. Papa Feng and Mama Feng looked relaxed. They didn't think that Master Yi could stir up any waves. The Feng family had dozens of bodyguards, and they were armed with weapons. They were also certified and legal. Besides that, Hong Kong Island's #1 martial artist, Grandmaster Lei, was also here. No matter what Grandmaster Yi was capable of, he would not be able to take on such a lineup alone. Grandmaster Yi would not be able to return alive. Zhong Li saw Father and Mother Feng's expressions, and her face was filled with worry. She had seen Grandmaster Ye's prowess with her own eyes, and that was beyond martial arts. It seemed that the Feng family was in big trouble today. But since things had come to this, it was useless to worry. Feng Anhui had made up her mind to go back on her word and was not worried about it. Feng Anna was not worried at first, but after hearing what Wang Haoran said, a bad feeling rose in her heart. Outside the Feng family's mansion, Yi Fan, Qian Wansan, and Qian Baobao waited quietly. Yi Fan stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm and relaxed. Qian Wansan's heart was pounding, and Qian Baobao felt that she was dead meat. The father and daughter pair did not want to come. They were not martial artists after all, and could not be of much help. But Yi Fan insisted on bringing them along, and the reason was that he needed their help to settle the accounts. because Yi Fan thought that the Feng family did not have that much cash and needed to use assets to pay off the debt. Yi Fan did not know how much assets were worth, and Qian Wansan was a businessman, so he must be very good at it. As for why he brought Qian Baobao along, it was because Qian Wansan had said that Qian Baobao was very good at accounting. She did not even need a calculator to calculate all kinds of complicated accounts. She could calculate them with just a glance. While waiting, Qian Wansan and Qian Baobao looked at each other, both thinking of running away. Barging into the Feng family like this was not a wise move. Hong Kong Island's laws were different from other places in the Fire Country. It was legal to be beaten to death for barging into a house to cause trouble. After all, Yi Fan did not have an IOU, and there was no way to reason with them. If they forced the Feng family to pay up, and if the Feng family refused and Yi Fan took action, then the Feng family would have sufficient reason to punish them. Qian Wansan knew that the Feng family had many bodyguards. If Yi Fan were to make a move, they would definitely be implicated. If they were to be beaten to death, it would be too unjust. If the two of you regret it, you can leave now. Yi Fan's back was facing them, but he seemed to have seen through their emotions as he suddenly said. When Qian Baobao heard this, it was as if he had been granted amnesty. He immediately gave Qian Wansan a look, indicating that he should run. Qian Wansan was a little tempted, but it was as if his feet were nailed to the ground, and he couldn't move his feet. The Qian family was already tied to Grandmaster Yi. If Grandmaster Yi barged into the Feng family and died, then the Qian family would not be far from being finished, because the Feng family would definitely settle the score after this. If he ran away now, it would only delay his end. However, if Grandmaster Yi could suppress the Feng family, it would undoubtedly cause the Qian family to lose a chance to become the #1 family in Hong Kong. After weighing the pros and cons, Qian Wansan decided to take a gamble. Grandmaster Yi, you must be joking. The Qian family has decided to advance and retreat with you, Qian Wansan said firmly. Dad! Qian Baobao panicked. She was still young and had not even found a boyfriend. If she died just like that, it would be a waste of her time in this world. Baobao, you should leave Hong Kong as soon as possible and go to Magic City to find your aunt. Qian Wansan wanted to take a gamble himself, but he was unwilling to let his daughter join in. Qian Baobao was a single parent. She only had one father. Although she was afraid, she was still unwilling to abandon her father and leave. Forget it, forget it. Let's all die together, Qian Baobao said. That's a wise decision. Yi Fan turned his head and praised Qian Wansan. He then turned his gaze and looked at Qian Baobao, who was unafraid of death. He slowly said, You won't die. With me here, nobody can touch a single hair of yours. Grandmaster, a hero can't win against so many people. Also, do you know what era it is now? It's not the era of cold weapons, but the era of firearms. No matter how high your martial arts are, how many rounds can you take? Qian Baobao complained. On this blue planet, there are indeed firearms that can threaten my life. However, they're definitely not something the Feng family can bring out. Even a Gua family can't use them casually, Yi Fan said calmly. Qian Baobao was stunned. She then understood what Yi Fan was referring to. What this guy meant was that only he weapons could take his life. Previously, Qian Baobao only felt that Grandmaster Yi was a little arrogant. However, she now felt that this Grandmaster was crazy. Grandmaster Yi, can the peak of martial arts reach such a level? Qian Wansan believed it and could not help but ask, Martial arts? When did I say that I'm a martial artist? Yi Fan said. Qian Wansan was stunned. Grandmaster, there's always someone better than you, Qian Baobao said mischievously. I'm the heavens, Yi Fan said. Qian Baobao did not know how to respond. What kind of grandmaster was this? He was completely crazy. As they were talking, the Feng family's door opened. A servant walked out and invited Yi Fan and the others in. It was a pity that she was already 19 years old. It was the prime of her youth. She had never even had a boyfriend before. Everything was well preserved. Now, she had to accompany a lunatic to her death. On the way to the living room, Qian Baobao could not help but sigh in sorrow. After some time, Qian Baobao felt that her vision had brightened up. She had arrived at the Feng family's magnificent living room. Wang Haoran, who was in the living room, cast his gaze over. However, the first thing he did was not look at Yi Fan. Instead, he looked at the only girl among the three, Qian Baobao. Just as Feng Anhui said, this Qian Baobao was very beautiful. She looked pure and cute. With the previous experience, Wang Haoran deactivated the Peach Blossom Halo and used the Charm Halo on Qian Baobao. Qian Baobao, who walked into the living room, was very nervous. Her eyes looked around aimlessly. Soon, she saw her rival, Feng Anhui. However, after just a glance at Feng Anhui, her gaze was attracted by a boy beside her. So handsome. Qian Baobao was stunned. She could not move her eyes away. Moreover, she did not know if it was an illusion, but Qian Baobao saw that handsome boy smiling at her. Qian Baobao suddenly felt a little dizzy. She completely forgot that she was in a dangerous situation. It was not until Qian Wansan saw her strange behavior and tugged at the corner of her clothes that she came to her senses. Qian Baobao instinctively looked away. If she was not careful, she would die here today. How could she still be in a mood to look at handsome boys? Then again, since she was doomed, what harm was there in looking at more? Chapter 6:27. As Yi Fan and the others walked into the hall, almost everyone's eyes were on them. Lei Wanqing's eyes shone brightly as they locked onto the young man among the three. Lei Wanqing had seen Qian Wansan and Qian Baobao before. The young man who was less than 20 years old must be the so-called Master Yi. Lei Wanqing was a little surprised when he saw him. Although Master Ye's name was quite famous in Hong Kong recently, Lei Wanqing had only heard of him and had never seen him before. He thought Master Yi was a middle-aged or older person, but he did not expect him to be a young man. Lei Wanqing could not help but sigh. Young people nowadays were really full of vigor. No matter how high his martial art cultivation was, how high could he be when he was less than 20 years old? Lei Wanqing originally wanted to fight to his heart's content with Master Yi, but now it seemed that he would most likely be disappointed. After Yi Fan walked into the hall, he found a seat and sat down as if there was no one else around. Qian Wansan and Qian Baobao were very nervous. They did not dare to sit down and just stood by the side. Papa Feng was a little displeased when he saw this young man who was still wet behind the ears treating this place as his own home. However, this matter still required Lei Wanqing to take charge of the overall situation, so he did not blame Yi Fan. Instead, he cast a glance at Lei Wanqing. Lei Wanqing understood and tapped his finger on the coffee table beside him. He said to Yi Fan, "Young man, although a 500-year-old snake gallbladder is precious, it's unreasonable for you to ask for 5 billion. Give me some face and give me a reasonable price. Maybe we can bury the hatchet." Lei Wanqing was still more virtuous. According to the rules of martial arts, he planned to use peaceful means before resorting to force. "Give you face?" Yi Fan laughed faintly. His eyes glanced at Lei Wanqing as he said softly, "That's right. Who do you think you are?" Lei Wanqing's old face stiffened and anger rose in his heart. He had been the #1 martial artist in Hong Kong for 10 years. It had been a long time since someone said such disrespectful words to him. Wang Haoran heard it and felt that it was normal. Who was Yi Fan? He was a celestial in his previous life. Who was Lei Wanqing? The #1 martial artist in Hong Kong? In the eyes of a celestial, you were not even qualified to carry his shoes. Why should he give you any face? When Ling Tianzong heard Yi Fan's nonsense, he couldn't hold it in any longer. "Brat, you dare to be disrespectful to my master? How impudent!" Yi Fan glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and didn't even bother to talk to him. "I'll give you 1 hour to prepare 10 billion. Once the time limit is up and you don't receive the money, I'll slaughter everyone in the Feng family." When Qian Wansan and Qian Baobao heard this, their legs went soft and they almost fell to the ground. If Grandmaster Yi had said something nice, there would still be room for negotiation. Now that Grandmaster Yi had said something like that, wasn't that tantamount to falling out with the Feng family? It would be hard for him to not die now. Haha, it's been a long time since someone dared to say that to me. Papa Feng was so angry that he laughed. "The time starts now," Yi Fan said calmly. "Master Lei, I'll be troubling you with this clown. Papa Feng said to Lei Wanqing. Lei Wanqing nodded. He didn't want to bully the weak. He was already being very virtuous, but this Grandmaster Yi was too arrogant. Master, from what I see, this brat is just a facade. There's no need to trouble you. Ling Tianzong was displeased when he was ignored by Yi Fan. Naturally, he wanted to meet him personally. More importantly, he wanted to perform well in front of Feng Anna and gain her favor. Be careful. Lei Wanqing didn't object and only reminded him. Yes, Ling Tianzong nodded and got up from his seat. He looked at the worried Feng Anna and said, Miss Feng, don't worry. I'll make this small fry kneel in less than 30 moves. Feng Anna's lips curled into a smile as a response. He hoped that Grandmaster Yi would be so easy to deal with. However, after recalling Wang Haoren's words, he started to worry. Seeing the beauty smiling, Ling Tianzong was overjoyed. He walked towards Yi Fan and stopped about 10 feet away from him. He cupped his fists and said, Thousand Elements Martial Institution's top disciple, Ling Tianzong. Nice to meet you. Yi Fan acted as if he didn't hear him and didn't even look at him. He glanced at the clock in the hall, as if he was calculating how much time the Feng family had left. When Ling Tianzong saw Yi Fan's actions, he felt humiliated and was furious. He didn't care about the basic etiquette before the competition anymore. Brat, take this. Ling Tianzong suddenly attacked. He activated his genuine qi and rushed towards Yi Fan. Noisy. Yi Fan frowned and waved his hand as if he was shooing away a fly. In the next moment, Ling Tianzong felt a huge force on his face. His face was distorted and his body was sent flying by the force. He drew a parabola in the air and smashed into the wall of the hall. He smashed a dent into the wall of the hall. Other than Yi Fan and Wang Haoren, everyone else was shocked. Among them, Lei Wanqing was the most emotional. He was the one who taught Ling Tianzong. He knew how strong Ling Tianzong was. The youngest neutralizing strength grandmaster in Hong Kong, a rare genius who had the potential to become an elixir strength grandmaster, couldn't even take one hit. Lei Wanqing looked at Yi Fan. His originally disdainful gaze immediately turned serious. Yi Fan was more difficult to deal with than he thought. On the other hand, one side of Ling Tianzong's face was swollen. Half of his teeth were knocked out and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. He was in a sorry state. Feng Anna saw this and was stunned for a while. Then, she looked at Wang Haoren. However, Feng Anna didn't give up. There was still a glimmer of hope in her heart. Ling Tianzong was no match for Yi Fan, but there was still Lei Wanqing. Father Feng saw the change in the hall and was stunned for a while. He then asked the servants to help Ling Tianzong up and said to Lei Wanqing, Master Lei, it seems that you have to do it yourself. Lei Wanqing nodded. He then stood up and looked at Yi Fan. His eyes were filled with admiration and hostility. You're the most outstanding martial artist I've ever seen, but you're too arrogant. Today, I'll teach you that there's always someone better than you. His eyes flashed with infinite fighting spirit. He reached out and said to the outside of the hall, This place is small. Please go outside. Don't bother. Yi Fan had no intention of leaving his seat. Take one hit from me. If you can still stand, it won't be too late to go outside. Lei Wanqing sneered and said, Young man, you're afraid that you'll run away if you say that. Before he could say the word tongue, his voice stopped. Lei Wanqing's body drew a parabola in the air and hit the wall precisely, following in Ling Tianzong's footsteps. Wang Haoren saw this and was slightly surprised. The Xintian Celestial Lord was really good at pretending. However, he was done with his act. It was his turn now. Chapter 628. Yi Fan casually sent Lei Wanqing flying through the air. His expression was incomparably calm, as if he had done something insignificant. However, the people in the hall were so shocked that they were speechless. Lei Wanqing's martial arts cultivation had been proven in 10 years, and he became the #1 martial artist in Hong Kong. In the eyes of almost everyone in Hong Kong, Lei Wanqing was invincible, and this concept was deeply rooted in their hearts. However, they did not expect that Lei Wanqing would be so vulnerable in front of Master Yi. Even if Lei Wanqing could hold on for a little longer, everyone would feel better psychologically. The Feng family's faces were all as if they had lost a fart. They could not say a word. When Qian Wansan saw this scene, the worry in his heart was finally removed. Instead, it was replaced by an indescribable ecstasy. He bet on Master Yi, and he was right. After tonight, the news of Master Lei being defeated by Master Yi would soon spread throughout Hong Kong. And the Qian family that was tied together with Master Yi would also become the most popular family in Hong Kong. In the future, Qian Wansan had enough confidence to make the Qian family the #1 family in Hong Kong. This was a strong thought that he had since the first day he came to Hong Kong. Now, he could finally see hope. In his ecstasy, Qian Wansan could not help but cast a glance at his daughter. That gaze seemed to say, "Look, your father made the right bet, didn't he? Let you marry Master Yi. How much foresight do you have?" Qian Baobao's heart was filled with mixed feelings. He was happy because he thought he was dead for sure, but he did not expect Master Yi to have some skills. It seemed that he did not have to die now. She was worried that if Master Yi went crazy and hurt the Feng family, it would be fine. But would he hurt that handsome guy? In the hall, the one with the most painful face was probably Feng Anhui. From the beginning to the end, she did not think that Master Yi was that powerful. Snake slaying was just picking up scraps. After all, the Feng family's bodyguard took the lead. And this time, he came to the Feng family purely to seek death. However, now that the truth was in front of her, it also made Feng Anhui realize that Master Yi was really strong. Seeing this, Feng Anhui suddenly reached out and knocked the teacup next to her. The teacup fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. At the same time, the bodyguards who were lying in ambush around the hall all appeared. They gathered in the hall and pointed their weapons at Yi Fan. This was arranged beforehand. The tossing of the cup was a signal to signal the bodyguards to move. When Feng Anhui saw that Ling Tianzong and Lei Wanqing had been defeated, she subconsciously did the same. After Wang Haoren saw it, he couldn't help but sigh. Feng An's nickname for Feng Anhui behind her back was really not wrong at all. What a foolish sister. Things had already come to this point, yet he still couldn't understand. He actually dared to ask the bodyguards to do it. As long as Feng Anhui had some understanding, she would know that it was difficult for these bodyguards to even hurt Lei Wanqing, let alone Master Yi, who defeated Lei Wanqing in seconds. However, the signal had already been sent out. The bodyguards did not care so much, and all followed the order. Feng Anna wanted to stop him, but it was too late. The bodyguards filed over and surrounded Grandmaster Yi and the Qian father and daughter. The Qian father and daughter's faces paled, but they weren't afraid. That was because they saw that Grandmaster Yi was very calm. What Grandmaster Yi? No matter how high your martial arts are, can you withstand Tutu? Feng Anhui thought that she only had control of the situation and couldn't help but laugh a few times. However, before the laughter stopped, the bodyguard surrounding Grandmaster Yi suddenly twitched and fell to the ground. Many wrinkles appeared on their faces at a speed that was almost visible to the naked eye. It was as if they had aged 20 to 30 years. Wang Haoren's eyelids twitched when he saw that. He recognized that technique. It was the secret technique of stealing vitality. It was a higher-level beginner-level technique. When one's cultivation was above the 5th level of qi refinement, one could learn it. Compared to when he was in Cheongzhou, Yi Fan had already reached the 7th level of qi refinement from the 5th level of qi refinement. In more than a month, he actually rose 2 levels. That speed was quite fast. It was definitely impossible to reach this speed by absorbing spiritual energy normally. Obviously, Yi Fan had obtained some opportunities during his snake hunting trip deep in the mountains. What Feng Anhui had obtained was only a 500-year-old snake's gallbladder. In other words, the rest of the snake's things had all fallen into Yi Fan's hands. A 500-year-old snake still had plenty of spiritual energy in its body. Using the secret technique of stealing vitality to absorb the snake's lifespan and convert it into spiritual energy could almost reach the 7th level of qi refinement. Now that Yi Fan had conveniently absorbed the lifespan and vitality of dozens of bodyguards, his cultivation had increased a little. With all their tricks gone, Papa Feng and Mama Feng were trembling in fear. Yi Fan's originally calm gaze suddenly turned cold because of Feng Anhui's actions. Not only did this woman not pay her debts, but she also wanted to kill him. Her actions completely angered Yi Fan. When Feng Anna saw the change in Grandmaster Ye's expression, she knew that her sister might be in trouble. In a hurry, she immediately asked Wang Haoran for help. "I beg you, please help my little sister." Wang Haoran's previous words had completely come true. Lei Wanqing was really vulnerable in front of Grandmaster Yi. Feng Anna felt that since Wang Haoran could predict and see through Grandmaster Ye's abilities and cultivation in advance, then his abilities should be much stronger than she expected. Even if he could not compare to Grandmaster Yi, at least he would not be too far off. Otherwise, would Wang Haoran dare to come here to watch the show? Was he not afraid of being implicated? From this, it could be seen that Wang Haoran was not simple. If Wang Haoran was willing to help, then her sister or the entire Feng family might have a chance of survival. "Why should I help you?" Hearing Feng Anna's request for help, Wang Haoran asked with a smile. "Master, I beg you." In her anxiety, Feng Anna did not care about her pride anymore and begged softly. "It's a little late to realize your position now." Wang Haoran pursed his lips. He had long seen through Feng Anna's thoughts. If she had behaved herself after returning to Hong Kong, Wang Haoran would not have allowed Yi Fan to act so pretentious. He would not have let the Feng family be on tenterhooks. The reason why Wang Haoran watched the show for so long was to let Feng Anna know herself clearly. Of course, it was not suitable to continue watching the show. You can't touch her, but you can do whatever you want with the rest of the Feng family. Wang Haoran pointed at the trembling Feng Anhui and said to Yi Fan. His tone was almost the same as Grandmaster Yes. That's right, he learned it from Grandmaster Yi. In terms of acting, the protagonist was better at it. As the villain, he was really lacking. Since that was the case, of course, he had to learn it. "An ant-like thing dares to order me around?" Yi Fan was extremely displeased when he heard the familiar tone as he coldly uttered these words. Chapter 629. Wang Haoran had already guessed Yi Fan's tone and words. As a villain, Wang Haoran's presence was very strong. He could attract the main character's hatred just by standing there. However, there was a slight difference between Yi Fan and the other main characters. Yi Fan was a celestial and treated the people around him like ants. If it wasn't for Wang Haoran's words, Yi Fan wouldn't even look at him. "I'll only say it once. You can't touch her," Wang Haoran repeated. Ding. Supporting female lead Feng Anhui's favorability towards the host is increased by 10. Current favorability is 90 until death. Feng Anhui was so scared that she didn't hear what Wang Haoran said. Now that she finally understood, she was so moved that she almost cried. So what if he had a few girlfriends? Feng Anhui didn't care about that. She had already decided to follow Wang Haoran from now on. She was willing to do anything for him. In the distance, Qin Baobao was jealous of Feng Anhui. However, that feeling didn't last long because it was overshadowed by another worry. He was worried that this little brother wasn't Grandmaster Ye's match. "Little brother, you're not from the Feng family, right? Don't worry about this." Qin Baobao looked at Wang Haoran and couldn't help but persuade him. "I'm really going to take care of this. No one can touch Feng Anhui. Even if God comes, it's useless." "I'll say it," Wang Haoran said. Qin Baobao was speechless. Why was his tone so similar to Grandmaster Yes? What kind of people were they? Were they crazy? "Grandmaster Yi, he's not from the Feng family. I think we should just ignore him. Is that all right?" Qin Baobao gave up on persuading Wang Haoran and turned to Yi Fan. When Qin Wanxin heard that, he gave his daughter a look, telling her not to say anything. Qin Baobao pretended not to see it. Yi Fan ignored Qin Baobao and said to Wang Haoran, "What a pity. What a coincidence, Feng Anhui. Today, I must touch her. Even the heavens can't stop me." "In that case, why are you still talking nonsense?" Wang Haoran said. Yi Fan frowned. He had seen many ants, but such an arrogant ant, this was the first time he had seen. Yi Fan slowly stood up, and the corners of his clothes fluttered without any wind. Spiritual energy quietly surged out of his body, and above his head, it condensed into a huge snake shadow that was over 5 feet long. The snake's shadow was clearly illusory, but when it flicked its tongue, it looked as if it was alive. When Feng Anhui saw this, her pupils constricted, because this giant snake was exactly the same as the one he had seen in the deep mountains. When Feng Anna and the others saw this incredible scene, their hearts were in turmoil. Their understanding of the past was completely overturned. This kind of method was not martial arts at all. Immortal. You're actually an immortal. Lei Wanqing was still lying on the side of the wall in a sorry state. When he saw this miraculous scene, he used his remaining strength to cry out in surprise. As soon as he said this, Feng Anna and the others trembled even more. At the same time, Yi Fan's godlike voice was also heard in the hall. You, take this attack of mine. If you're still alive, I'll spare your life. Everyone knew that these words were targeted at Wang Haoren. It sounded like Yi Fan was being very generous and didn't mean to kill him. However, Wang Haoren, who knew Yi Fan's background, knew how shameless this guy was. Yi Fan's method was called the spiritual cultivation spell. This spell was quite advanced, and its power was directly related to the strength of the spirit that was refined. This giant snake spirit was apparently obtained by Yi Fan when he was hunting snakes in the deep mountains. That snake had lived for 500 years, but it was extremely rare on the cerulean planet. After being refined by Yi Fan's spiritual cultivation spell, its power was more than 10 times stronger. However, in order to cast this spell, the requirement for one's spiritual qi cultivation base was not low. Yi Fan was currently at the 7th level of the qi refinement stage, so he could barely control it. In other words, Yi Fan had directly used his ultimate move. If Wang Haoren could withstand it, Yi Fan would be too weak to continue the fight. It seemed like he was giving Wang Haoren a way out, but in fact, he was leaving himself a way out. If he couldn't withstand it, Wang Haoren would die right away, and everything would be solved. One had to admit that Yi Fan was really cunning. Yi Fan seemed to be disdainful of Wang Haoren, but he was still very cautious because of his experience in his previous life. Those who could become celestial supremes were very observant. This was because Yi Fan noticed that after performing the spiritual cultivation spell, Wang Haoren's eyes didn't show any panic or fear. This made Yi Fan instinctively cautious, which was why he said the last sentence. However, as the protagonist, Yi Fan wasn't shameless. After performing the spiritual cultivation spell, he didn't attack immediately. Instead, he waited for Wang Haoren to be ready. That was because Feng Anhui was right next to Wang Haoren. However, what surprised Yi Fan was that Wang Haoren didn't let Feng Anhui go further away. Instead, he hugged her waist. Are you afraid? Wang Haoren asked Feng Anhui. With you here, I'm not afraid of anything. Feng Anhui was fearless when she clearly felt the warmth from her sweetheart's body. Even the giant snake that gave her nightmares for a few nights didn't seem so scary anymore. Yi Fan frowned when he saw this. This was a battle, but the other party was flirting. This kind of behavior was completely looking down on him. The Xintian, celestial supremacy, only felt that his dignity was being challenged. With that thought, Yi Fan channeled all the spirit qi in his body into the spirit snake. The snake spirit looked even more solid now. Go! Yi Fan spat out a word. The spirit snake seemed to have sensed something and locked onto Wang Haoren. It spat out its tongue and pounced toward Wang Haoren and Feng Anhui. Wang Haoren didn't release any spirit qi. When the spirit snake was almost in front of him, he and Feng Anhui disappeared into thin air. The spirit snake missed its target and crashed into the wall behind Wang Haoren. It created a big hole in the wall of the Feng family's hall. Yi Fan sensed that Wang Haoren and Feng Anhui's aura had disappeared. His eyes trembled. After the spirit snake's attack that locked onto Wang Haoren missed, it had to retract its spirit qi because it had used up too much of its spirit qi. It had used all its strength and could only use this move once. If it missed, it wouldn't be able to attack again. At this moment, Wang Haoren and Feng Anhui appeared where they were before they disappeared. The Xintian, celestial supremacy, felt the spirit qi in his body weakening. A trace of panic finally flashed in the depths of his calm eyes. The other party was far more difficult to deal with than he had expected. He originally thought that even if the other party could withstand this move, it would still consume a lot of spirit chi. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't be afraid. However, Wang Howren had disappeared into thin air just now to avoid the move that was bound to hit. Moreover, it seemed like he didn't consume any spirit chi at all. Now that the other party was in full condition and his spirit chi was weak, the Xiantian, celestial supremacy, was naturally a little flustered. Chapter 630. Although Yi Fan was slightly panicking, the experience of his past life had allowed his mental fortitude to reach an outstanding level. On the surface, Yi Fan was still calm and composed, and he even pretended to be full of spirit energy. So you're kindred spirit. Since you want to protect the Feng family, I'll give you face, Yi Fan said calmly. If Wang Howren did not know Yi Fan's background, he would have believed him. This guy was just a paper tiger and could not fight at all. How could Wang Howren miss such a good opportunity? I'll return the favor. Take one of my attacks. If you don't die, I'll let you go. Wang Howren imitated Yi Fan's tone and spoke in an arrogant manner. Then, he quietly gathered spirit energy, and a small blue sword appeared in front of Wang Howren. Yi Fan's eyes widened when he saw this. This was because he recognized this technique. This was the Yuling technique, a technique to control spirit. It condensed spirit energy into weapons or other forms and used one's mind as a guide to attack the enemy. This technique was a high-level technique, but it could be learned by those with a low cultivation level. Of course, the low cultivation level was relative. To learn this technique, the minimum requirement for spirit energy was to be at the peak of Qi refinement stage level 9. In other words, the person in front of him was already at the peak of Qi refinement stage level 9. Yi Fan was only at Qi refinement stage level 7. Although it was only 2 levels, the gap between them was huge. This was because the total amount of spirit energy was at least 3 to 4 times more than the spirit energy of a Qi refinement stage level 7. However, this was not what shocked Yi Fan the most. What shocked him the most was how did Wang Howren know this technique? This was because this technique was created by Yi Fan. Logically speaking, other than him, no one else should know this technique. Wang Howren noticed that Yi Fan was in a daze and smiled in his heart. The reason why he used the Yuling technique was to affect Yi Fan's mind and take the opportunity to kill him. While Yi Fan was distracted, Wang Howren also controlled the small blue sword to fly towards Yi Fan's neck. In the blink of an eye, the blue sword was about to cut Yi Fan's neck. However, at this critical moment, Yi Fan, who had thousands of years of experience, reacted instantly and dodged to the side. Then, Yi Fan used a secret technique to recover some of his spiritual qi and flew out. As the creator of the Yuling technique, Yi Fan naturally knew how to dodge attacks. When using the Yuling art, it consumed a lot of mental energy and spiritual energy. Therefore, after using the Yuling art, the caster usually couldn't move too much. On the other hand, if the spiritual sword was too far away from the caster, it would not be so easy to control, and its power would also be reduced. After running for quite a distance, Yi Fan finally locked onto the blue sword body that was chasing after him and entered it. Yi Fan groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, his voice rang out. I'll remember the enmity of your sword. The green hills will not change, and the green waters will flow forever. We will meet again someday. Before he finished speaking, Yi Fan was already a few kilometers away. Wang Howren did not chase after him. Firstly, he might not be able to catch up. Secondly, even if he caught up, it would be meaningless, because there was only one way to kill Yi Fan now, and that was to die together with him. Yi Fan had not used his greatest trump card, which cost him the soul of an immortal venerable. However, although he did not kill Yi Fan was also heavily injured. Yi Fan's spiritual qi was almost depleted after using the spiritual cultivation mantra, but in order to dodge the killer move, he used the blood-burning secret technique to quickly replenish his spiritual qi. After using this secret technique, he would enter a sluggish state in 1 or 2 months. Moreover, he was injured by the blue sword body formed by his spiritual qi. After that, Yi Fan would definitely need a long time to recuperate, and it would be difficult for his cultivation to improve. Wang Haoran could accept this result. After all, he did not think that he could kill Yi Fan this time. After sensing that Yi Fan had completely escaped, Wang Haoran retracted his attention. The people in the hall were dumbfounded. They were all dumbfounded. The battle between Wang Haoran and Yi Fan had completely shattered everyone's view of the world, which was completely reconstructed. The move was no longer martial arts, but immortal arts. It turned out that there were immortals in this world, and they were right in front of them. Ding! Feng Anna's favorability toward the host has increased by 10. Current favorability, 50. Admiration. After everyone was stunned for a long time, Feng Anna was the first to react. With a special look in her eyes, she bowed to Wang Haoran and said, "Thank you for saving the Feng clan. I think you're mistaken. I only helped because I'm close to your sister. It has nothing to do with the Feng clan, and it has nothing to do with you," Wang Haoran said. Feng Anna was startled. She shifted her gaze and looked at Feng Anhui, who was still hugging Wang Haoran. A sense of jealousy rose in her heart. As the elder sister, she was better than her dumb sister in every aspect. But now, her dumb sister was actually better than her in a certain aspect. Feng Anna's emotions were a little complicated, but it was not the time to think about that. She glanced at the trembling father and daughter of the Qian clan in the hall, then turned to ask Wang Haoran, "What should we do with these two?" Qin Bao Bao cursed Feng Anna in her heart when she heard that. Then, she started sobbing because she felt that she was dead meat. Qian Wansan cursed in his heart. What bullsh asterisk team master Yi? He was too disloyal. He only cared about running away, leaving Qin Bao Bao and him to be slaughtered. Wang Haoran glanced at the father and daughter of the Qian clan. Finally, his gaze landed on Qin Bao Bao. He said slowly, "You're with Master Yi. I shouldn't have kept you alive. But the heavens are merciful. I happen to lack a maid to serve tea, so I'll let you atone for your sins." Qin Bao Bao widened her eyes in disbelief. How was this atonement? This was a great thing. The little brother in front of her was an immortal. To be able to follow an immortal was something that ordinary people couldn't even dream of. Okay. I'm willing. Qin Bao Bao nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Immortal, I'm also willing to be a servant to atone for my sins. Qian Wansan originally felt that he was dead meat, but from the tone of this immortal's voice, he didn't seem to be a murderous person. Therefore, he had hope. After hearing that his daughter was punished, he quickly spoke up. "Your daughter is as beautiful as a flower. She's pleasing to the eye and has other better uses. Why is a fatty like you following me? Are you wasting my rice?" Wang Haoran secretly complained, but on the surface he said calmly, "Seeing that you're old, I'll let you off for the time being and let your daughter atone for her sins." Hearing that, Qian Wansan couldn't help but feel disappointed. He also wanted to follow an immortal and rub off on his immortal aura. Maybe he could even prolong his life. Unfortunately, he didn't have the fortune. "Thank you for your mercy, immortal." Although disappointed, Qian Wansan still said respectfully, after all, it was already a great fortune for him to be able to survive after Master Yi ran away. More importantly, his daughter had also benefited from it. To be able to follow an immortal, even as a maid, was naturally considered an immortal's fate. Papa Feng and Mama Feng were stunned for a while before they came back to their senses. The former thanked Wang Haoran with a smile and then suggested, "Don't worry. Immortal, I see that you seem to be interested in our Anhui. Why not give Anhui to you? What do you think? I have partners and more than one. Let's forget about this." Wang Haoran naturally wouldn't be easily manipulated. He immediately waved his hand and said. When Papa Feng heard that, he was immediately disappointed for a while. He could only settle for the next best thing. "Then let Anhui stay by your side to serve tea and water. Is that okay?" "That's too unfair to Anhui," Wang Haoran said. It's not unfair. I'm willing." Feng Anhui was anxious and quickly interrupted. Feng Anna saw this and felt very upset. Once upon a time, she had always felt ashamed of being Wang Haoran's maid, But now this position had become a kind of honor and had become surprisingly popular. Chapter 631. This deck collection storm finally came to an end with Grandmaster Yi escaping with heavy injuries. Wang Haoran displayed his might and was treated as an immortal by everyone. Lei Wanqing and Ling Tianzong, who were invited to cheer him on, completely became background characters. No one cared about them. Previously, the Feng family gave Lei Wanqing face because they felt that he could defeat Master Yi and had a lot of weight in Hong Kong. It was worth it for the Feng family to curry favor with him. But now that there was an immortal here, did the Feng family still need to curry favor with Lei Wanqing? Feng and his father and mother were just that realistic. Otherwise, they wouldn't have cut off their relationship with Feng Anna because they were afraid of being implicated. Lei Wanqing and Ling Tianzong were looked down upon, but they didn't dare to complain. The Feng family's little princess, Feng Anhui, was now the immortal's maid. Maid sounded lowly, but to a certain extent, it was very noble. There was a saying that went like this: the prime minister was a third-grade official. That was probably the reason. The Feng family could be said to have one person achieve the Tao, so naturally, they didn't need to care about anyone on Hong Kong anymore. In the next few days, Wang Haoran was treated like an ancestor by the Feng family. Qian Bao Bao and Feng Anhui, who were willing to be maids, served him even more enthusiastically. The two of them were young ladies who didn't have to worry about food and clothing, but they were actually quite professional when it came to taking care of people. Perhaps it was because the two of them were originally Yi Fan's maids in the main storyline, so the character settings had these qualities. Wang Haoran was quite satisfied. Although Qian Bao Bao and Feng Anhui were female supporting characters, compared to Feng Anna, who was a hypocrite, they were much more comfortable. However, this should have been enjoyed by Yi Fan, and Wang Haoran was just intercepting it. Therefore, Wang Haoran wanted to experience some things that Yi Fan couldn't experience in the main storyline. Qian Bao Bao and Feng Anhui were blank pieces of paper. In Yi Fan's main storyline, they were just maids who served tea, took care of the daily meals, and even took care of business. When Yi Fan's main storyline ended, Qian Bao Bao and Feng Anna would still be blank pieces of paper. Although Wang Haoran had snatched Yi Fan's two maids, he would not follow Yi Fan's example. Both Qian Bao Bao and Feng Anhui's favorable impression points were high enough. Qian Bao Bao's favorable impression points were maxed out, while Feng Anhui's favorable impression points were at 90. When the conditions were right, success would come naturally. Wang Haoran's cultivation had improved a lot. He could now cross the peak of the 9th level of the Qi refining stage and enter the foundation building stage. However, Wang Haoran did not intend to break through and officially enter the foundation establishment stage. Foundation establishment was a very special and important part of the immortal cultivation realm. This was because the good or bad foundation establishment would directly affect one's cultivation in the future. This was just like building a foundation for a house. If the foundation was good, the house could be built very high. If the foundation was not built properly, it would not be possible to build a tall building. If it was built forcefully, the building would probably collapse. This was the significance of foundation establishment. Wang Haoran wanted to accumulate more spirit qi and officially enter the foundation establishment stage. He even wanted to find some heavenly treasures to help him build a solid foundation in the future. However, it was a pity that the blue planet was too lacking in cultivation resources now. It was not an easy task to find such a heavenly treasure. Of course, this did not mean that there were none. In the main storyline, Yi Fan had to cross the void if he wanted to leave the blue planet. He had to cross the threshold of the foundation establishment stage. The main character's foundation establishment would definitely be very solid. In other words, when Yi Fan was in the foundation establishment stage, a fortuitous opportunity would definitely appear. However, Yi Fan was far away now, so Wang Haoran could not find him. More importantly, Yi Fan had not reached the foundation establishment stage yet, so the main character's halo should not be activated. In other words, the fortuitous opportunity to enter the foundation establishment stage would not appear for a while. Wang Haoran could only suppress his thoughts for now and focus on cultivation. After cultivating for almost a month, Wang Haoran had accumulated a lot of spirit qi. Of course, this month was in the sky-splitting tower. Only 3 days had passed in the outside world, and these 3 short days felt like years to Feng Anna. Feng Anna was not in a good mood. She walked aimlessly in the Feng family's mansion. Before she knew it, she had arrived at Wang Haoran's quiet residence in the Feng family. After thinking for a moment, she walked into the courtyard of the residence. In the courtyard, her stupid sister Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao were sparring. Spirit qi with a faint colorful glow was flying around, shaking the trees in the courtyard until leaves flew everywhere. Feng Anna was shaken to the core. Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao were weak women. She knew this. However, after not seeing them for 3 days, the two of them had turned from weak women to cultivators who could cause a terrifying commotion with just a wave of their hand. Weren't they supposed to be maids? How did they cultivate and become so powerful? While Feng Anna was in a daze, the spirit qi fluctuations caused by Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao's sparring accidentally appeared in front of Feng Anna. Feng Anna's beautiful face turned pale. Fortunately, the spirit qi did not hit her. It only exploded a meter in front of her. The solid floor tiles were directly blown away, and a hole appeared. Feng Anna was so scared that she kept retreating and fell to the ground. She cried out in alarm. Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao were too engrossed in the battle and only now noticed that someone had broken into the courtyard. They hurriedly stopped their sparring. Feng Anhui flew to her sister and helped her up. She asked with concern, "Sister, I'm sorry." "Sister, I'm sorry, I didn't notice. Are you okay?" Feng Anna had just fallen. It was nothing serious. Moreover, Lu Duo had cushioned the impact a lot. She will be fine. I'm fine. Feng Anna shook her head in response to her sister. In disbelief, she asked, "Anhui, how did you become a cultivator in just 3 days?" "I'm only at the first level of the qi refinement realm. Master said that I'm just a beginner, but I can be considered a beginner cultivator." There was an unconcealable joy in Feng Anhui's expression. When she said the word master, there was also respect and admiration from the bottom of her heart. Feng Anna understood the meaning in her words. She could not help but think, was this the reason why she was not liked? Although she also called him that, it was not sincere. It was more of a perfunctory way. It's incredible to become a beginner cultivator in 3 days. I didn't expect you to have the talent for cultivation. Feng Anna's tone was a bit complicated. She was envious and jealous. I don't have any talent for cultivation. It's just that this kind of cultivation method is a bit special. It's not difficult to cultivate. Feng Anhui could not help but blush. Although Feng Anna was smart, she did not know martial arts. She did not know what kind of cultivation methods there were. Naturally, it was impossible for her to judge anything from Feng Anhui's expression. However, Feng Anna did not doubt her sister's words. She did not need the talent for cultivation to be able to cultivate. After all, when Qian Baobao and her sister were sparring just now, the two of them seemed to be on par. For 2 weak women to be able to reach such a cultivation level in just 3 days, this immortal cultivation technique was definitely not difficult. What's so special about this cultivation method? Feng Anna asked curiously. Chapter 632. Sister, I'm afraid I can't tell you this. Feng Anhui shook her head and refused to answer Feng Anna's question. It's not a big deal. I'm your sister. Can't you even answer such a small question for me? Feng Anna didn't give up and tried to play the emotional card. Without master's orders, I won't say it. Even you can't. Feng Anhui said firmly. Seeing this, Feng Anna knew that she couldn't get an answer and could only give up. However, he couldn't help but have some strange feelings in his heart. This stupid sister was a little silly, but she was really lucky. She didn't expect that she would actually step onto the path of cultivation. Ever since they were young, Feng Anna had always thought that she was better than her younger sister in every aspect. But from now on, she was afraid that she would be left far behind by her sister. Even if she played tricks and got the Feng family's wealth, so what? Compared to cultivation, the so-called wealth was too insignificant. Feng Anna didn't have the heart to cultivate, but she also wanted to live forever and preserve her youth so that she wouldn't age and be buried in the soil. Her sister's luck made her envious and jealous. But on second thought, why couldn't she? She could do what her sister could do. Wasn't it just being a maid? Who didn't know how to do it? After making up her mind, Feng Anna turned to her sister and asked, "Why don't I see him and his girlfriend? Where do they go?" "Big sister, show some respect. What him and him? You're not allowed to call my master that." Feng Anhui glared at her. "That's right. Be careful with your words. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you." Qin Bao Bao also said fiercely. Feng Anna was stunned for a moment. She was a little surprised by their reactions. But on second thought, it was because they knew their position and treated Wang Haoran as their master that they were more favored. Was Wang Haoran giving them the method of cultivation because of this? In contrast, she used to only respect Wang Haoran on the surface, but she was very proud in her heart. Feng Anna seemed to have a little inspiration and change her words. "Where did Master and his girlfriend go?" Speaking of which, she became a maid much earlier than Feng Anhui and Qin Bao Bao. There was no problem with calling them that. Master and the matriarchs went to cultivate. Feng Anhui saw that her sister's tone was much better, so she didn't hesitate to answer her question. "Mistress." Feng Anna learned it again. "That's right. Isn't Master's partner the mistress?" He should also use honorifics. In this aspect, his stupid sister was much more talented than him. Where did Master and Mistress go to cultivate? Feng Anna continued to ask. "Sister, you're asking too many questions." Feng Anhui didn't want to answer this question. "And Hui, our identities are the same. I'm also a maid. You don't have to hide it from me, do you?" Feng Anna said. "Really? Then why haven't I seen you serving me these past few days? Don't you even have this bit of awareness?" Feng Anhui asked back. Feng Anna was scolded and was speechless for a while. At this moment, the door of one of the bedrooms in the courtyard was gently pushed open. Wang Haoran, Feng Xuansu, and the others walked out. Feng Anna could not help but feel nervous, but she took a deep breath and mustered her courage to walk in front of Wang Haoran. "Can we have a talk? You're free now. You don't have to talk to me." Wang Haoran could vaguely see through Feng Anna's thoughts, but he deliberately said so. "I want to talk about another problem." Feng Anna said. "What problem?" Wang Haoran asked. Feng Anna looked at the eyes around her and was a little embarrassed to say it out loud. So she said, "Can we go somewhere else? I'd like to talk to you alone." "I don't have time for that. If you want to talk, you can talk here," Wang Haoran said calmly. Feng Anna was in a difficult position. She couldn't say her thoughts in front of so many people, so she looked at her best friend for help. Song Zhihui understood and suggested that they go to the Feng family's garden to look at the flowers with Feng Anhui leading the way. Not long after, the group left, leaving only Wang Haoran and Feng Anna in the courtyard. Feng Anna was grateful to her best friend, then looked at Wang Haoran again. "Can you give me another chance?" Feng Anna pleaded in a soft voice. "I don't understand what you're talking about." Wang Haoran pretended not to understand. "You've only known an Hui for a few days, and you're already willing to teach her the way of immortality. I've been by your side for so long, but I only just found out that you're an immortal." Feng Anna said softly. "Do you have something against me?" Wang Haoran asked. "I wouldn't dare. I didn't do well enough." Feng Anna said seriously. "I know I'm wrong. Can you give me a chance to redeem myself?" Wang Haoran had been waiting for Feng Anna to say that. Wasn't the reason he gave Feng Anna the cold shoulder waiting for her to lower her head? However, he could give her a chance, but it still depended on her performance. With that thought in mind, Wang Haoran suddenly took a step forward and put his hand on her shoulder. Feng Anna only felt dazed for a moment, and the scenery around her changed. This was not a courtyard. Looking at the decorations, it seemed to be a tower. The tower was densely covered with runes. It looked mysterious and solemn. Feng Anna suddenly thought of something and could not help but ask, "Was this where we escaped Master Ye's snake spirit attack?" "That's right." Wang Haoran nodded. The heaven-splitting tower was in Wang Haoran's sea of consciousness. However, when Wang Haoran hid in the heaven-splitting tower, the heaven-splitting tower would turn into a speck of dust that even a venerable immortal would not be able to detect. At that time, Wang Haoran could choose to fight Yi Fan's ultimate move, but at most, he would only injure Yi Fan. As for Wang Haoran himself, he would also consume a lot of spirit qi. However, entering the heaven-splitting tower did not consume any spirit qi. After coming out, he would still be in peak condition. He was in a completely advantageous position against Yi Fan. If he was not afraid of Yi Fan burning his venerable immortal soul, Wang Haoran was confident that he could kill Yi Fan just based on Yi Fan's spirit qi state at that time. This is unbelievable. What kind of treasure is this? Feng Anna was very curious. You don't need to know this for now. You only need to know that no one will disturb you here. No matter how big the commotion is, no one outside will know. Wang Haoran explained, and then said meaningfully, "So whatever you want to talk about or do, you can start now." Hearing this, Feng Anna became nervous. However, to be honest, she was a little unprepared. "By the way, you only have 1 minute." Wang Haoran suddenly added. Feng Anna hesitated. However, time was limited. She could not think for too long. Fortunately, she was not an indecisive person. Since she had made up her mind, she would not back out at the last minute. Princess of the Feng family? Pride? Nobility? To hell with it. None of this was more important than stepping into the path of cultivation. More importantly, she felt that she was a little dependent on him. It was the kind of dependence between a man and a woman. Feng Anna knew that if she missed out on him, she would definitely regret it for the rest of her life. Chapter 633. In a dilapidated building somewhere on Hong Kong Island, Yi Fan, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, slowly opened his eyes. He raised his hand slightly, and the defensive barrier around him collapsed. Yi Fan had been recuperating here since he fled 3 days ago. After 3 days of recuperation, he had finally gotten rid of the sword spirit in his body. However, because he had used the blood-burning secret technique to recover his spirit qi, he had damaged a bit of his origin. It would take another month or two to fully recover under normal circumstances. I really didn't expect that there would be someone like me on the blue planet. Yi Fan narrowed his eyes and muttered to himself. There was a hint of coldness in his voice. The Xiantian celestial lord had dominated the cultivation world in his previous life and had never suffered such a loss. He didn't expect that after being reborn on the small blue planet, he would fail miserably. The Xiantian celestial lord naturally couldn't stay calm. However, this wasn't enough to cause a flaw in his stable Tao heart. It was just a small peak level 9 qi refinement. It wasn't a big deal. Once his cultivation improved greatly, he would definitely take revenge for this sword strike. However, Yi Fan was very confused. How did the other party know the Yuling art? It didn't make sense for others to know this kind of Dharma spell that he had created. After thinking for a while, he couldn't figure it out for the time being, so he stopped thinking about it. When his cultivation level improved greatly, he would take down that person and search his memories. Then he would understand. Yi Fan exhaled softly and began to think about where to go next. The main purpose of this trip to Hong Kong Island was to get rid of the flies that had been pestering Feng Yuruo in his previous life and make a name for himself there. The flies had been dealt with, but making a name for himself had encountered some obstacles. There was no point in continuing to stay on Hong Kong Island. Yi Fan's original plan was to suppress the entire Hong Kong Island and then make a trip to the capital. However, the setback in Hong Kong Island also made him realize that there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers on the blue planet. There were people like him who couldn't be underestimated. As the largest and most prosperous city on the blue planet, the capital must be even more so there. Yi Fan temporarily dismissed the idea of going to the capital. He planned to make a name for himself there after his cultivation level improved greatly. Of course, he didn't want to go there if the place was too small. Even if he made a name for himself in that kind of small place, it wouldn't cause much of a stir. After thinking for a while, Yi Fan decided to go to Shanghai. Shanghai was also very prosperous, no less than Hong Kong Island. Moreover, there was also a woman who loved him deeply in his previous life. However, Yi Fan only liked Feng Yuruo, so he let her down in her previous life. Furthermore, in the end, because she was implicated by Yi Fan, she was killed. Furthermore, he had died a horrible death. Although Yi Fan eventually avenged her, he could not make up for it by much. Yi Fan felt a little guilty about this. Now that he was reborn, Yi Fan wanted to try his best to make up for it. Of course, at this point in time, she did not know Yi Fan. Yi Fan did not intend to get acquainted with her either, because his heart was completely occupied by Feng Yuruo, and he could not give her a future. What Yi Fan wanted was to help her in secret. She was the eldest daughter of a business family in Shanghai. Judging from the time, she should have just taken over the family business. However, there were many people in the clan who were opposed to this. Right now, she was facing a lot of pressure and needed help. After thinking it through, Yi Fan was ready to make a move. However, before he left, he still had some conscience and secretly went to the Qian family to check on the situation. After knowing that the father and daughter of the Qian family had been treated well, Yi Fan did not appear to meet Qian Wansan. That was because he was a little embarrassed to meet him. At that time, he could barely take care of himself, so how could he be in the mood to care about others? Although it seemed a little inappropriate. However, in the cultivation world, this was really a very common thing. It was really not a big deal. It was normal for allies who seemed to have gone through life and death together to stab each other in the back in the next moment. He had just abandoned his allies and ran away when he saw that something was wrong. It was nothing. Yi Fan was very calm about this, but he did not want to see Qian Wansan and explain so much to him. After quietly leaving the Qian family, Yi Fan embarked on a journey to Shanghai. At the same time, after a period of hard work and cultivation, Wang Haoren had laid down another foundation for the foundation establishment realm. After Feng Anna came to her senses, her performance was simply amazing. In fact, to a certain extent, she was even better than Qian Baobao and Feng Anhui. In Yi Fan's main storyline, Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao only acted as maids or subordinates. They could do small things like pouring tea or managing business matters very well. Qian Baobao was very good at accounting. Feng Anhui only had a low EQ, but she was quite talented in doing business. The two of them were mainly set up to massage Yi Fan's back and manage his business. In that aspect, although they were obedient, they were still a little lacking. However, Feng Anna was different. Who was Yin Yin Tian? He was the main character of the evildoer young master. At first, Feng Anna looked down on Yin Yin Tian and was extremely opposed to the engagement. In Yin Yin Tian and Feng Anna's main storyline, Yin Yin Tian would definitely teach Feng Anna a lesson. And Yin Yin Tian's so-called teaching was undoubtedly that matter. Perhaps it was because of these main storyline, Feng Anna's character settings actually had attributes similar to Gu Yuro's. When Wang Haoren realized this, he was really stunned. If he thought about it, would Feng Xuansu and Ning Aoxue, who were also in Yin Yin Tian's main storyline, also have these attributes? The reason why Wang Haoren discovered this about Feng Anna was because he had the mentality of teaching Feng Anna a lesson. Therefore, he did some of his actions. That was why he found out something extraordinary. As for Feng Xuansu and Ning Aoxue, he was still quite respectful and did not go overboard. It was understandable that he did not discover it. Wang Haoren was thinking about finding an opportunity to practice it. If he went overboard, he would see if there would be a magical discovery. However, he did not plan to do it immediately. He came to Hong Kong Island to stop Yi Fan from showing off. Now that it was over, it was time to leave Hong Kong Island and return to Qingling. Before coming to Hong Kong Island, there were a total of 5 people, including Wang Haoren. When they returned to Qingling, there were 7 people. The 2 new people were naturally Feng Anhui and Qian Baobao. Wang Haoren's medium-sized villa became more lively. Previously, Feng Xuansu, Ning Aoxue, and Feng Anna lived there. It was just right. Now that there were 2 more people, the gym and some other rooms had to be renovated and turned into bedrooms. Fortunately, these things did not need Wang Haoren to worry about. Feng Anna directly took over the task. At this time, Qiu Qianwei knew that Wang Haoren was back and called him over for dinner. Qiu Qianwei and her 7 sisters were all there. Bu Fian, who was out on a mission, also returned. Bu Fian had just returned and seemed to be a little tired. Therefore, she did not help in the kitchen with the other sisters. In the hall, only Wang Haoren and Bu Fian were there. You've been away for more than a month. This mission has been really long. Did it go well? Wang Haoran asked. Yes. You've been away for more than a month. It went well. Bu Fian replied with a smile. However, Wang Haoran keenly sensed that her qi and blood were depleted and she was slightly weak. You've been injured, and it's not light. Wang Haoran saw through her and directly pointed out. Don't tell them. I don't want them to be worried, Bu Fian admitted. Then, she said with a little fear. This mission was a little dangerous. Although I completed the mission, I was seriously injured and was hunted down. Fortunately, I was saved by a little farmer when I passed by a village. Otherwise, I might not have been able to come back to see you. Wang Haoran instantly smelled the scent of a trap, and his eyes couldn't help but narrow slightly. Chapter 634. Bu Fian was the female lead, and the strange things that happened to her were likely to trigger the plot. The little farmer who saved Bu Fian was undoubtedly the main character. There were countless novels with little farmers as the main characters, and this was a very common genre. Bu Fian used words like miraculous medical skills just now, so it was obvious that the little farmer's medical skills were above Biensuan's. Otherwise, Bu Fian wouldn't have such thoughts. What this little peasant main character learned was most likely medical skills at the cultivation level. At the very least, it wouldn't be worse than Lu Chen's. After figuring this out, Wang Haoran suddenly thought of something and frowned. Most of the little farmer's protagonists were more wretched, and during the treatment process, he might have some interaction with the female lead. This was because Wang Haoran saw Bu Fian's wound with his X-ray vision. It was located in a curved line in front of her. Of all places to be injured, she just had to be injured here. This was a rather awkward position. With that in mind, Wang Haoran asked, Is that little farmer's medical skills better than Third Sister's? I know about Third Sister's medical skills. That little farmer's medical skills are indeed better than Third Sister's, Bu Fian replied, and then sighed. Third Sister is the Valley Master of the medicine Celestial Valley, and her name is well known in the hidden Jianghu. I didn't expect that there would be someone with better medical skills than Third Sister in a small place like the countryside. It's unbelievable. You're not destined to die, so you met such a person. Wang Haoran paused and then asked the key question. During the treatment process, were you taken advantage of? For example, the little farmer helped you apply medicine? Why do you ask? Bu Fian was stunned for a moment, and then she quickly explained. I was injured and my limbs were weak. The little farmer wanted to apply medicine for me, but I was injured in a private place, so I didn't allow others to see or touch it. She liked her boyfriend, Seventh Sister, so she naturally cared about what he thought. After hearing his question, she immediately explained. I see. Wang Haoran nodded and then asked, What happened after that? Later on, when I recovered some of my strength, I was able to apply the medicine myself. After taking the medicine, I feel much better. But that little farmer said that the medicine can only treat the symptoms and not the root of the disease. He needs to use massage techniques to cure the disease, Bu Fian said. Wang Haoran's expression became strange. Bu Fian had lost a large amount of blood and qi, and it was difficult for her to recover. If she was not treated properly, there would be a problem. But to say that the so-called massage technique was the only way to cure the disease, it was most likely that the little farmer was trying to take advantage of Bu Fian. What happened after that? Wang Haoran continued to ask. Of course I won't agree to this. After my injuries have healed a lot and I can move freely, I will leave behind a few words and leave without saying goodbye, Bu Fian said. Wang Haoran nodded. It was true that Bu Fian's injuries hadn't been cured yet. If they were allowed to continue, her internal injuries might erupt. According to the plot, Bu Fian would not be able to bear the pain and would probably go back to the farmer protagonist to cure her illness. And because of this interaction during the treatment, Bu Fian's feelings might be ignited. To put it bluntly, it was all a ploy. Of course, Wang Haoran wouldn't let the plot develop like this. Yifan had thousands of years of experience in his previous life and had learned countless skills, including immortal cultivation level medical skills. Wang Haoran had copied Yifan's memory, so he naturally knew these things. With immortal cultivation level medical skills and the help of spirit qi at the peak of level 9 qi refinement, curing Bu Fian's injuries was a piece of cake. However, that little farmer had given Wang Haoran some inspiration. The little farmer protagonist had his eyes on Bu Fian, and so did he. Of course, he couldn't cure Bu Fian so easily. You've lost a lot of blood and qi, and there are hidden injuries in your body. If you don't treat them properly, the hidden injuries will erupt, and you will be in so much pain that you want to die, Wang Haoran said seriously. Is it that serious? Bu Fian was shocked. I know some medical skills too, and I'm not exaggerating, Wang Haoran said seriously. Bu Fian had always thought that Wang Haoran was mysterious and unfathomable, so she didn't doubt his words. Senior, please save me. You're Wei Wei's sister, so I can't just leave you in the lurch. It's just that when I'm treating you, I might come into close contact with you. Wang Haoran hesitated as if he was in a difficult position. Bu Fian vaguely guessed something. Is it also massage treatment? No, but it's similar, Wang Haoran said. Bu Fian was speechless. Must this be the only way to cure her injuries completely? I know it's hard for you to accept this, but I won't force you if you don't want to. Just don't regret it when your hidden injuries erupt and you're in so much pain that you want to die. Wang Haoran saw Bu Fian's hesitation, so he tried to scare her. Senior, you should treat me. Bu Fian immediately made up her mind. She didn't know that little farmer, and although she was treating him, she didn't want to come into contact with him. However, Wang Haoran was different. She had a crush on Wang Haoran, and it wasn't that hard for her to accept that they had come into contact because of her treatment. All right, I'll treat you at night, Wang Haoran said calmly. That's for the best. I don't want Wei Wei and the others to know that I'm injured, so I'll keep this a secret from them. Bu Fian's pale face due to the loss of blood, and she had a strange blush on it. She didn't want her sisters to worry about her. More importantly, she didn't know how to face her seventh sister, Qiu Qianwei. She felt that if she let her seventh sister's boyfriend treat her, there would be some inappropriate contact, and she felt that she had let her seventh sister down. Naturally, she wanted to keep this a secret. Wang Haoran observed Bu Fian's expression and could roughly guess her thoughts. He couldn't help but smile inwardly. Bu Fian had been away for too long, and she didn't understand the situation between her sisters. Actually, the problem she was worried about was no longer a problem. Other than her who was still in the dark, the other 6 sisters already knew about each other. After waiting for some time, the meal was ready. During the meal, Tantai Yaoyue and the others didn't deliberately mention this matter. The only one who was closer to Wang Haoran was Qiu Qianwei. Tantai Yaoyue, Luo Qinxian, and the others were just more concerned. Bu Fian didn't notice anything, and thought that it was just an elder sister showing concern for her future brother-in-law, so she didn't think much of it. After the meal, Wang Haoran naturally stayed the night. Chapter 635. Early morning. Everyone sat together and ate breakfast. Bu Fian's complexion was much better than yesterday. Her pale face had also regained some color. However, Bu Fian's internal injuries were not completely healed. Of course, this was not because Wang Haoran's medical skills were not good enough. It was because he had done it on purpose. After midnight last night, Wang Haoran had secretly treated Bu Fian. Bu Fian's favorable impression of him had increased from 50 to 60. Wang Haoran had originally planned to cure Bu Fian in one go. However, he changed his mind and decided to interact more with Bu Fian. In addition to treating Bu Fian, Wang Haoran did not neglect his cultivation. Currently, only Tantai Yaoyue knew that he was the reincarnation of a celestial emperor. She had not told Qiu Qianwei and the others yet. Therefore, Wang Haoran only cultivated with Tantai Yaoyue for the time being. He planned to tell Qiu Qianwei and the others about cultivation after capturing Bu Fian, the fish that escaped the net. However, Wang Haoran was not anxious about this matter. Instead, he was more anxious about another matter. There was no doubt that the little farmer was the main character in this matter. Therefore, after breakfast, Wang Haoran suggested that Bu Fian lead the way to the village. The reason was naturally to thank the little farmer for saving Bu Fian. Bu Fian felt embarrassed to leave without saying goodbye. She did not object to it. The small village was in Qingling. It was not very far from here. Wang Haoran drove Ji Shuiyao's Portia, and set off with Bufian. After about half a day, they arrived at the village. Although Qingling was a bustling city, there were still nooks and crannies. Even the imperial capital had such nooks and crannies. Qingling was no exception. When the Portia arrived at the village, the little farmer who saved Bufian came to a shed on the mountain where Bufian was hiding to recuperate. He brought her medicine. This little farmer was called Lin Tian. He was an 18-year-old young man. His skin was slightly tanned, but his body was strong. His eyes looked particularly spirited. When Lin Tian came to the shed, he saw some words on the ground. Only then did he know that the beautiful sister had left. Lin Tian could not help but feel disappointed for a while. But after a while, he became spirited again. The beautiful sister's injuries were not completely healed yet. The hidden injuries on her body would definitely flare up if they were not treated. In this world, no one except for him was able to heal her. When the beautiful sister found out that something was wrong, she would definitely come back to find him. At that time, he would be able to see the beautiful sister again. As Lin Tian thought about it, he couldn't help but imagine the scene of him treating his beautiful sister. His mouth inadvertently opened, and he smiled very wretchedly. Chapter 636. You're talking as if you can take out 1,000,000 yuan. After hearing Lin Tian's words, Yang Zhixia couldn't help but despise him. Everyone in the village knew that Lin Tian's family was poor. It would be difficult for him to take out 1,000 yuan, let alone 1,000,000 yuan. Believe me, give me some time, and I can definitely take out 1,000,000 yuan. When the time comes, I'll go to your house to propose marriage, okay? Lin Tian asked with a smile. Yang Zhixia didn't have a good impression of Lin Tian, but seeing his confident look, she wondered if this guy really had a way to make a fortune. But whether it was true or not, Yang Zhixia didn't care. Anyway, she didn't like Lin Tian. What did it have to do with her whether Lin Tian was rich or not? However, Yang Zhixia was kind and didn't want to ridicule others in front of their faces. After thinking about it, she refused in a disguised way. Your information is too outdated. My father has changed his mind and raised the betrothal gift from 1,000,000 yuan to 10,000,000 yuan. In Yang Zhixia's view, 10,000,000 yuan was an astronomical figure. Even if Lin Tian really made a fortune, it was absolutely impossible for him to take out so much money. Saying this was tantamount to cutting off Lin Tian's thoughts and hopes. But to Yang Zhixia's surprise, Lin Tian replied, 10,000,000 yuan? 10,000,000, right? No problem. Then let's make a deal. As long as I take out a betrothal gift of 10,000,000 yuan, you will marry me. Seeing Lin Tian's confident look, Yang Zhixia couldn't help but panic a little. She originally hoped that he would back off, but she didn't expect that he would take it seriously. The deadline is 1 year, no, half a year. It won't count after that. Yang Zhixia deliberately increased the difficulty, trying to make Lin Tian give up. It's a deal. If I take out a betrothal gift of 10,000,000 yuan within half a year, you will marry me. Lin Tian agreed directly. If it were a few months ago, he wouldn't dare to make such a big promise, but it was different now. He had obtained the inheritance of an immortal, and it was only a matter of time before he became successful. 10,000,000 yuan was not difficult for him to earn. Moreover, his plan to make a fortune was already in the process of being implemented. You really don't know how to brag. Yang Zhixia shook her head. Then, I'll take it that you agree, Lin Tian said. I didn't agree. Yang Zhixia curled her lips. You said it yourself that I can marry you as long as I take a betrothal gift of 10,000,000 yuan within half a year. How can you go back on your word? One must be trustworthy. Lin Tian said, Well, I agree. I'd like to see how you're going to take out 10,000,000 yuan. Yang Zhixia was honest. After hearing Lin Tian's words, she didn't go back on her words. Of course, this was mainly because she didn't think that Lin Tian could do it, so she naturally didn't care. Then it's settled. Lin Tian couldn't help but feel delighted. Calculating the time, it was about time to harvest the vegetables planted in the mountains. The sooner they could sell them in the city, the sooner they could make a lot of money. Those dishes were not ordinary dishes. After eating them, not only could they prolong one's life, they could even expel some minor diseases. This point had already been verified by his old father at home. People in the city cherished their lives the most. Furthermore, they were rich. There would definitely be a market for these dishes. Lin Tian couldn't help imagining the scene that he would go to Yang Zhixia's family to propose marriage after making a lot of money. Thinking about it, he couldn't help grinning. Seeing his wretched look, Yang Zhixia curled her lips and quickened her pace to walk ahead of him. Lin Tian shamelessly chased after him again. "You're carrying such a big basin. Aren't you tired? Shall I help you?" Lin Tian said enthusiastically. "No need." Yang Zhixia refused. "You're my future wife. You don't have to be so polite with me." Lin Tian laughed. Hey, what nonsense are you talking about?" Yang Zhixia was stunned by Lin Tian's shamelessness. When Lin Tian saw her blushing face, he was even more delighted. He did not want to give up and wanted to continue teasing her. Little did he know that Yang Zhixia blushed because of anger. However, Lin Tian didn't care so much. Just as he was about to speak, he heard some villagers passing by and talking about something. "I heard that 2 young city people came to the village entrance, a man and a woman. The man is very handsome, and the woman is also very beautiful, like a fairy. What are the city people doing here? They seem to be looking for someone. Hey, can you stop following me?" Yang Zhixia looked at Lin Tian with disgust. "I'm not following you. This road doesn't belong to your family. If you can walk, why can't I?" Lin Tian retorted. "You." Yang Zhixia couldn't argue with Lin Tian, so she simply stopped arguing with him and didn't go home. Because her parents were not at home. If Lin Tian continued to follow her, she couldn't do anything to him. After thinking for a while, she suddenly said, "I'm going to the village entrance to see the handsome men in the city. If you like to follow me, then keep following me." After saying that, she walked ahead of him. The smile on Lin Tian's face suddenly froze, because Yang Zhixia's words made him feel a little uncomfortable. The handsome men in the city were very feminine. What was there to see? How could they be better than the young men in the countryside? Yang Zhixia really had no taste. However, Lin Tian soon realized that Yang Zhixia was deliberately provoking him. After calming himself down, Lin Tian followed Yang Zhixia. He also heard the conversation of the villagers just now. There was not only a handsome man at the village entrance, but also a beautiful woman in the city. Lin Tian didn't like to see the handsome men in the city, but he liked to see the beautiful women in the city. After a while, Yang Zhixia and Lin Tian arrived at the village entrance. At this moment, many villagers had gathered at the village entrance. When it was not the farming season, the villagers were very idle. When they heard that there was a show to watch, they naturally flocked to it. The young man and woman in the city were undoubtedly Wang Haoren and Bu Fian. Bu Fian only knew that the little farmer who saved her was from this village, but she didn't know his name or where he lived. Therefore, after arriving at the village entrance, Bu Fian didn't know where to look. Therefore, she roughly described Lin Tian's appearance and asked the villagers. However, there were many young men like Lin Tian in the village. Fortunately, the villagers were more enthusiastic and started to look for him. After a while, everyone in the village knew about it. At this moment, Wang Haoren was leaning against a big tree at the village entrance, waiting quietly. Bu Fian, on the other hand, was identifying the people around her, trying to find the little farmer who saved her. Every time someone came to the village entrance, she would identify them. However, after a long time, she still couldn't find the little farmer. After identifying everyone present, Bu Fian walked to Wang Haoren's side and sat down, wanting to rest for a while. "Are you tired?" Wang Haoren reached out and tucked Bu Fian's hair behind her ear and asked gently. Bu Fian trembled subconsciously and felt a little nervous. However, this nervousness quickly dissipated and was replaced by a kind of sweetness that filled her heart. "I'm not so weak. I'm not tired." Bu Fian's cheeks became a little rosy as she shook her head gently. At this moment, she found that a new group of villagers had arrived. Bu Fian stood up and wanted to identify them. Wang Haoren also subconsciously looked at the new group of villagers. Among them, one of the beautiful women instantly attracted his attention. Wang Haoran looked at her, and the beautiful woman also looked at him. Their eyes met in the air, but before Wang Haoran could take a closer look, he received a notification from the system. Ding! Congratulations to the host for meeting the female lead Yang Jixia for the first time. The Super Peach Blossom Halo has triggered the first-class Pledge of Love effect. Ding! The female lead Yang Jixia's favorability towards the host has increased to 80. Deep affection. Wang Haoran. Chapter 637. The sudden system notification surprised and delighted Wang Haoran. He really didn't expect that the Super Peach Blossom Halo, which had been weak for a long time, would finally work hard again. On the way to the small village, Wang Haoran knew that he would definitely meet the female protagonist on this trip. Looking at many novels with farmers as the protagonists, there were generally two types of female protagonists. One was the village belle, and the other was the widow. These two types of female protagonists had almost become the standard female protagonists in novels with farmers as the protagonists. Of course, there were occasional exceptions, but at least one of them would exist. On the way here, Wang Haoran was still thinking about how to launch an attack and intercept the farmer protagonist, but who knew that the halo was so good that he didn't even need to chase after her. The young and beautiful village girl in front of him was undoubtedly the village belle. Wang Haoran looked at her carefully and was very satisfied. Although she lived in the countryside, the village belle's skin was very tender, without the rough feeling of a country woman at all. It was even better than the pampered female protagonists in the city. In the countryside, people usually had to do farm work, and it was impossible for them to have the conditions to wear sunscreen when they went out. It was really unscientific that the village belle's skin was so good. But the female protagonist halo had always been unreasonable. As the female protagonist, she was of course a little special and different from other village women. On the opposite side, Yang Jixia felt that she was being looked at, and her heart, which was already beating wildly, beat even faster. Shyly, she guiltily looked away and stopped staring at him. But soon, as if she couldn't control herself, she looked back at him again. This boy from the city was really too good-looking. Yang Jixia only felt that she was about to fall for him. Lin Tian's attention was almost always on Yang Jixia. He saw Yang Jixia's shy look. Lin Tian suddenly became angry in his heart. He had already regarded Yang Jixia as his future wife. Now, his future wife was staring at another man like a love-struck fool. Naturally, he felt extremely uncomfortable. Ding! The host has damaged Lin Tian's mentality. The host has gained 2,000 villain points, Lin Tian's protagonist Halo -100, and the host villain Halo +100. However, Lin Tian's uncomfortable feeling was temporarily ignored because he saw another person on the scene. I've finally found you, beautiful sister. Bu Fian and Lin Tian saw each other and said almost at the same time. Seeing their reactions, Wang Haoran immediately confirmed that this dark-skinned young man was the little farmer protagonist. The communication system immediately started checking. Main character, Lin Tian combat strength, 8,970. Chi refinement stage level 1, charm, 68. Protagonist aura, 27,675. Skills, Goldfinger the Immortal's Inheritance, current inheritance progress, 100%. The inheritance includes immortal-level medical skills, cultivation spells, talisman spells, chaos bottle, grade, primordial cardinal treasure. Born during the chaos era of the universe. Currently, it has recognized its owner. Effect, gathers the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, causing the spiritual chi to liquefy and store in the bottle. The spiritual liquid can catalyze the growth of spiritual items and also speed up the advancement of cultivation. When Wang Haoran received this information, he couldn't help but be secretly shocked. In terms of the main character aura, Lin Tian was only a little less than Yi Fan by 2,000 points, which was already very impressive. His Goldfinger was also worthy of this aura. The Tribulation Immortal was the most powerful person below the unification stage. Immortal cultivators who could become immortal supremes must be extraordinary. Even if they were not as powerful as the Xiantian immortal, they would not be too far off. Lin Tian had received the immortal's inheritance, so his cultivation should be smoother. It was unlikely that he would encounter any bottlenecks. Other than that, there was also the cultivation sheet, the chaos bottle. The spiritual chi on the blue planet was thin, so cultivation was extremely difficult. However, with the chaos bottle, this problem was no longer a problem. Of course, Wang Haoren wanted to snatch this cultivation sheet. Unfortunately, the chaos bottle had already recognized an owner. Even if he snatched it, he could not use it. A treasure that had recognized an owner could only be used by its owner. If he wanted to use the chaos bottle, there was only one way, and that was for Lin Tian to voluntarily remove the ownership. Or, he could completely control Lin Tian's will and force Lin Tian to remove the ownership. When that happened, the chaos bottle would become an ownerless item again. Then, Wang Haoren could drip his blood on it again. However, it was difficult to do any of the two. To completely control Lin Tian's will, one would need extremely strong cultivation and divine sense. Because as long as Lin Tian showed the slightest resistance, it would fail. If things went wrong, Wang Haoren's soul might even be devoured by the chaos bottle. Of course, Wang Haoren would not do such a dangerous thing. The last possibility seemed even less likely. Lin Tian was not sick, so why would he remove the ownership? Only an idiot would remove the binding of such a rare treasure. Unless Lin Tian had a reason to do so. Wang Haoren followed this train of thought. When his eyes fell on Bu Fian and the village bell, he suddenly understood. On the other side, Lin Tian was very happy after recognizing Bu Fian. Beautiful sister, why did you leave without saying goodbye? I had something urgent to deal with, so I left first. Sorry. Bu Fian casually made up an excuse. Fortunately, you came back again. I really didn't lie to you. If your injuries are not treated properly, there will be a big problem. Lin Tian thought again. Someone else will treat me, so I won't trouble you. Bu Fian said. Who is it? Lin Tian's heart tightened, and he hurriedly asked. My third sister is also a divine doctor. She can treat me. Bu Fian thought of the treatment last night and felt extremely embarrassed. She was too ashamed to tell the truth, so she lied. Lin Tian did not believe it, but after looking at Bu Fian's complexion and seeing that her qi and blood had recovered a little, he did not doubt it. However, he could not help but feel a little regretful. If he had known earlier, he would not have said that only a massage could cure the beautiful sister. In fact, using medicine was also possible. If he could completely cure this beautiful sister, she might be more grateful to him. At that time, the beautiful sister would feel that she could not repay him and might even give herself to him. By the way, my name is Lin Tian. Beautiful sister, what is your name? Lin Tian suddenly asked. Bu Fian. Previously, Bu Fian was injured and was being hunted down, so she was not willing to reveal her information. But after her injuries recovered a little, she killed all those people who were chasing after her. Since the crisis was resolved, Bu Fian naturally did not hide it. Moreover, it was just a name. Bu Fian, this name is too nice. Lin Tian praised with a smile. This is the person who saved you, right? At this time, Wang Haoren walked over and asked Bu Fian. Yes, it's him. Bu Fian nodded with a smile. Hello. Wang Haoren extended his hand to Lin Tian. Lin Tian's excited face instantly turned cold when he saw Wang Haoren. Chapter 638. Wang Haoren wasn't surprised at all when he saw Lin Tian's expression. As the villain, it would be strange for the protagonist to be nice to him. However, when he saw Lin Tian's expression, Wang Haoren really wanted to punch him in the face. The protagonist hated him, and he hated the protagonist. This was a natural opposition. However, Wang Haoren wouldn't ignore the big picture just because of a moment of anger. Third sister, the person who saved you doesn't seem very polite. Wang Haoren's hand froze in midair, but he immediately retracted it. He didn't feel awkward and just smiled at Bu Fian. Bu Fian originally found Lin Tian pleasing to the eye, but when she saw him giving Wang Haoren the cold shoulder, she immediately frowned. You're the younger brother of the beautiful sister? Lin Tian's cold expression faded a little, and his eyes lit up as he asked Wang Haoran. Yes, is there a problem? Wang Haoran asked. If he and Bu Fian were in that kind of relationship, with Bu Fian's favorable impression of him, she definitely wouldn't expose him. In that case, he could mess with Lin Tian's mentality. However, what Wang Haoran wanted the most now wasn't to mess with Lin Tian's mentality, but to be interested in Lin Tian's chaos bottle. By showing that he and Bu Fian were siblings, it would be easier for him to get close to the village belle. This was a very important part of the plan that Wang Haoran had just hatched. After hearing Wang Haoran's words, Bu Fian looked at him. Although she was a little puzzled, she didn't say anything. It could be considered that she tacitly agreed with Wang Haoran's words. When Lin Tian saw this, he naturally didn't have any doubts. He thought that Wang Haoran and Bu Fian were really siblings. Thank you for saving my third sister. Please accept this small token of my appreciation. Wang Haoran took out a check for 1 million and handed it to Lin Tian. Although I'm from the countryside, I'm not greedy for money. I saved the beautiful sister out of kindness. Lin Tian didn't reach out to take it and said solemnly. His words were better than a song. You King want to hit on her because she's pretty, right? If she's ugly, would you be so enthusiastic to save her? Wang Haoran secretly ridiculed him. You have backbone. I admire you. In that case, I'll take it back. Wang Haoran was not willing to give money to the protagonist. The reason why he gave the money was just to put on a show. After all, the reason why he came here with Bu Fian was to repay Lin Tian's kindness. Since Lin Tian didn't want to accept it, why waste the money? Meanwhile, when Lin Tian saw Wang Haoran retracting his sword so quickly, he felt a little uncomfortable. After all, he didn't take a look at Wang's tea. The matter of coming to the village was settled. Wang Haoran had something important to do, so he naturally didn't want to leave. But if he wanted to stay, he needed a reason. After thinking for a while, he suddenly said to Bu Fian, "Taste that took Herd's thought of he's to himself, sure." Bu Fian nodded. They often cooked at home, so they had to go to the market in the city to buy vegetables. But who knew how much pesticide was applied to those vegetables? The vegetables in the countryside were all natural, so they tasted better and were healthier. She naturally agreed with Wang Haoran's suggestion. Brother Lin, do you know who grows the best vegetables in the village? After Bu Fian agreed, Wang Haoran took the opportunity to ask Lin Tian. He wasn't joking when he told Bu Fian to bring some food back. In the novels written by farmers, the plot usually revolve around 3 points: courting girls, getting rich, and cultivating. Lin Tian's chaos bottle had the effect of hastening the growth of spiritual items, so he could use it to make money. For example, he could grow vegetables or precious herbs and sell them. Sure enough, after Wang Haoran asked, Lin Tian said proudly, "You found the right person. Then you have found the right person. My family's food is the best in this village." Hearing those words, many of the villagers started to laugh at Lin Tian, saying that he was boasting. Wang Haoran knew that Lin Tian was telling the truth. He asked again, "Can you take me to your garden? My garden is a bit far. You're from the city, so you won't be able to bear the hardship. I'll pick the vegetables for you to see." Lin Tian didn't want others to know about his secret plantation. "I need a lot of vegetables. Do you have that many at home?" Wang Haoran asked. "How much do you need?" Lin Tian asked. "I want all of them." "Price is not a problem," Wang Haoran said generously. Lin Tian was happy for a while. He really wanted to rip this city man off. He didn't want to accept the check for 1 million yuan to repay him for saving his beautiful sister, but he was very willing to sell vegetables to this city man and extort him. "Good, straightforward. But it will take a lot of time to pick them," Lin Tian said. Wang Haoran was secretly happy when he saw that things were developing according to his expectations, but he didn't show it on his face. "It's okay. I can still wait for a day or two." After that, Wang Haoran glanced at the surrounding villagers and asked, "Is there anyone who can rent a room? Is there anyone who has a vacant room that I can rent for a while? I could pay the rent. The price is not a problem at all, but the house is better." As soon as he said that, many villagers rushed to say that they had vacant houses and could rent them to Wang Haoran. For a moment, Wang Haoran couldn't even get a word in. After everyone was quiet for a while, Wang Haoren said to the village bell, "Hello, I'll live in your house." "Hello, I'll stay at your place. The rent is 1,000 a day. What do you think?" I, I, I didn't say anything just now. Yang Zhixiao was stunned for a moment and then stammered. Wang Haoren certainly knew that the village belle didn't say that she had a house to rent. The reason he did this was purely on purpose. "Really? But I just heard you say that you have a house to rent, and it's clean and beautiful." Wang Haoren pretended to be puzzled. "Well, if you want to live in my house, it's okay." Yang Zhixia didn't object after being surprised, but agreed. It was not because of the 1,000 yuan a day that Wang Haoren said, but because she wanted to spend more time with Wang Haoren. "That's a deal." Wang Haoren smiled. A handsome, smiling face came into her sight. Yang Zhixia was stunned and confused again. Seeing Yang Zhixia's infatuated look, Lin Tian felt very uncomfortable. He couldn't help but say to Wang Haoren, "I also have a vacant room, and it's free. You can live in my house." "Lin Tian, didn't you hear what he said just now? You want a room with a better environment. Your house is so shabby. How can he get used to it?" Yang Zhixia took over the conversation. After saying that to Lin Tian, she said to Wang Haoren and Bu Fian enthusiastically, "He's a guest from afar. You don't have to pay the rent. He can stay as long as he wants." Lin Tian was speechless when he heard that. He was still flustered. Ding! The host has damaged Lin Tian's mentality. Gain 2,000 villain points. Lin Tian protagonist aura -100. Host villain aura +100. Chapter 639. Wang Haoren received the prompt message from the system. Although he didn't look at Lin Tian's face, he knew that Lin Tian must be very upset. "Thank you for your kindness, but we still have to pay. We can't live and eat for free." Wang Haoren responded with a smile, and then took the initiative to introduce himself. "My name is Wang Haoren. What's your name?" "My name is Yang Chu." "Yang Zhixia." Yang Zhixia said hesitantly. "Yang Chuxia or Yang Zhixia?" Wang Haoren asked with a smile. "I was born in Chuxia, so my father named me Yang Chuxia. But later, when I was in school, I had the same name as a female classmate, so I changed my name to Yang Zhixia. Later, I got used to calling myself Yang Zhixia, but my identity and certificate are still Yang Chuxia," Yang Zhixia explained. "But in fact, it's almost the same. You can call me Yang Chuxia or Yang Zhixia." "Then I'll call you Zhixia," Wang Haoren said. Yang Zhixia was stunned for a moment. This title, which omitted the surname, seemed a little intimate, but she was quite happy about it. "It's up to you," Yang Zhixia said with an innocent smile. "Zhixia, let's get in the car together. Please lead the way to your house," Wang Haoren said. After that, he waved at Bu Fian and motioned for her to go. Then he said to Lin Tian, whose face was a little pale, "Come to me when you've put away the vegetables." After that, he directly got in the car with Bu Fian and Yang Zhixia without waiting for Lin Tian's response. When the car started, the surrounding villagers took the initiative to make way for it. After a while, the car left the entrance of the village and headed for the village. Seeing the car leaving, Lin Tian thought to himself that he must blackmail Wang Haoren. Otherwise, he would feel unbalanced. What's wrong with Yang Zhixia? She's too shallow. She gets dizzy when she sees a handsome guy. That guy's just a toy boy. He's good-looking but useless. With this kind of resentment, Lin Tian secretly went up the mountain to his secret cultivation base to pick vegetables. If he wanted to extort money from that pretty boy, he had to let that pretty boy know how good the quality of his vegetables were. Otherwise, if they felt that it was too expensive, they could have bought it from someone else. Lin Tian wanted to let that pretty boy know that the vegetables he grew were unique and could not be bought outside. When Lin Tian went up the mountain, Wang Haoren drove to Yang Zhixia's home according to her instructions. The road in the village was not wide, but it was enough for a car to pass through. Wang Haoren soon arrived at Yang Zhixia's home. After parking the car, Wang Haoren took the opportunity to leave everyone's sight and followed Lin Tian's trail. When he came into contact with Lin Tian earlier, he discreetly sprinkled a type of pollen on Lin Tian's body. This kind of pollen was colorless and odorless, and could only be sensed using special methods. This technique was naturally from the supreme poison scripture. Lin Tian was still at the first level of the Qi refinement realm. In terms of combat strength, he was not even comparable to Qin Fan. Moreover, he was not an old monster like Yi Fan who had lived for thousands of years. He was not so cautious. Wang Howren was not afraid that Lin Tian would notice this method if he used it on him. Wang Howren followed the trail and followed Lin Tian to his secret cultivation base on the mountain. This kind of cultivation base was extremely hidden. The only passage through this cultivation base was an extremely narrow valley. This valley was only big enough for one person to pass through. It was similar to the description in the Peach Blossom Spring. Only when one is in a narrow place can one pass through it. After taking a few more steps, one will suddenly see the light. After passing through the valley, one could see a wider place. In this vast place, the spirit Qi was almost 10 times denser than the outside world. If one cultivated here, it would be 10 times more effective than the outside world. Compared to the blue planet, where the spirit Qi was thin, this place could be considered a paradise. There were so many people in this village, and such a good place was discovered by Lin Tian. The protagonist's halo was really unreasonable. Wang Howren secretly complained and then looked around. This place was planted with large tracts of crops, as well as some relatively rare medicinal herbs. Wang Howren sensed that those crops actually contained some spirit Qi. Although the spirit Qi was a bit thin, if there was a large amount, there would still be a qualitative change. For example, if an ordinary person ate this kind of crop for a long time, not only would they be immune to all diseases, but they would also be able to live longer. But to Wang Howren, this kind of crop was not that attractive, because just cultivating the Demon Emperor's internal sutra for an hour would give him more spirit Qi than eating thousands of cabbages here. However, Wang Howren was very interested in the people here who were involved in things like the Chinese knotweed. Because these people were involved in the Chinese knotweed, they were not ordinary. Wang Howren used his X-ray vision to take a look. In addition to his perception, he immediately recognized that the Chinese knotweed that this person was involved in were all over 500 years old. The oldest among them was even close to 1,000 years old. In an environment like the Blue Planet, this was originally impossible. But Lin Tian had the cheat tool, the Chaos Bottle. One of the functions of the Chaos Bottle was to accelerate the growth of spiritual items. These people might have only planted the Chinese knotweed for a short time, but after being accelerated by the spiritual liquid in the Chaos Bottle, they grew crazily. In a very short period of time, they had reached 500 years old or even 1,000 years old. The Chinese knotweed that people at this age could already be counted as a spiritual plant. For immortal cultivators, it was very beneficial. And the key was that this place was planted in tracts. If a rough count was made, there were at least 1,000 of them. Let's count it as 1,000 for the time being. 1,000 Chinese knotweed and ginseng that were more than 500 years old could provide a lot of spirit Qi. Wang Howren was originally still worried about the Foundation establishment, but at this moment, he felt like he was suddenly enlightened. From Yi Fan's memory, Wang Howren learned that even other immortal cultivators who live in environments with rich spirit Qi suitable for cultivation would not be so wasteful as to consume so many spiritual plants to build their foundation establishment, no matter how rich they were. Because it took a long time for spiritual plants to grow, almost no one was willing to do so. However, Lin Tian, who possessed the primal chaos bottle, was able to easily create these spiritual plants. Wang Howren had already seen the Chinese knotweed that the people here had planted as his own. However, he was not in a hurry to harvest, because he was more interested in the chaos bottle that had created these spiritual plants. Wang Howren had checked before, so he naturally knew that the spiritual liquid in the chaos bottle had to be placed out. This place was rich in spirit Qi and was an excellent place to accumulate spiritual liquid. Wang Howren carefully sensed and soon sensed that the spirit Qi in the surroundings was gathering somewhere in the area where the Chinese knotweed were planted. After using his X-ray vision to check, Wang Howren quickly found that under the cover of those spiritual items, there was a half-foot-tall green jade bottle hidden. The spirit Qi that had gathered in the surroundings was entering this green jade bottle. This green jade bottle was undoubtedly the primal chaos bottle. Wang Haoran's eyes instantly became fiery. Chapter 640. Wang Haoran had investigated Lin Tian before and knew that the chaos bottle was a connate cardinal treasure produced by the universe. Compared to the heaven-splitting pagoda that accompanied the universe, its grade was a little lower, but it wasn't that far off. And this was only the difference in level. Comparing the sky-splitting pagoda and the chaos bottle, they each had their own magical effects and did not conflict with each other at all. Cardinal treasures were the highest level treasures in the cultivation world. The word connate meant that it was produced by the creation of heaven and earth, not created by humans. It could be said that connate cardinal treasures were the highest level of cardinal treasures. Even a tribulation transcendence, celestial supremacy, would be tempted by a connate cardinal treasure, not to mention Wang Haoran, who was only at the peak of the Qi refinement stage. Fortunately, although Wang Haoran was agitated, he was still quite rational. The chaos bottle had already recognized its master and belonged to Lin Tian. Even if he snatched it now, he couldn't use it. And killing Lin Tian and making the chaos bottle ownerless was not an easy way either. Because Lin Tian was dead, but the chaos bottle still had his soul imprint. Even a tribulation transcendence, celestial supremacy, could not erase this kind of soul imprint on a cardinal treasure, let alone Wang Haoran. Since the chaos bottle had a soul imprint, it could not recognize a new master. He could only wait for the soul imprint to disappear on its own. However, the time it would disappear on its own was too long, at least tens of thousands of years. Because of these reasons, Wang Haoran did not act rashly. He suppressed his thoughts and left quietly. Lin Tian picked some vegetables and fruits from the plantation and put them in a big snakeskin bag. Then, he carried the snakeskin bag and went down the mountain while whistling. After going down the mountain, he went directly to the cement ground in front of Yang Zhixia's house and called out. Wang Haoran, Bu Fian, and Yang Zhixia came out one after another. Lin Tian poured out all the vegetables and fruits in the snakeskin bag. The quality is not bad, but it's not much different from what I grew at home. Yang Zhixia glanced at the vegetables and fruits on the ground and couldn't help but comment. It looks the same, but it tastes different. If you eat it, you won't say so, Lin Tian said proudly. Didn't you say there were a lot of dishes? That's all. Of course, Wang Haoran wouldn't say that he had secretly followed Lin Tian to the plantation to take a look. When he saw the snakeskin bag of vegetables, he pretended to be puzzled and asked, I'll pick some for you to try first. If you're satisfied, we'll continue our discussion. No matter how much you want, I can provide it. Lin Tian said. All right. Wang Haoran nodded. These fruits and vegetables couldn't be eaten raw. If he wanted to eat them, he had to cook them. Wang Haoran glanced at Bu Fian and quickly looked away. As an assassin, Bu Fian might be able to cut melons and cut vegetables, but she couldn't cook. When she was at Qin Ling's place, she helped out in the kitchen. Xiao Qianwei was the one in charge of the kitchen. After skipping Bu Fian, Wang Haoran looked at Yang Zhixia. If you don't mind, let me cook for you. Yang Zhixia understood and said immediately. Zhixia, I'll have to trouble you. Wang Haoran said with a smile. You're welcome, as long as you don't mind my cooking. Yang Zhixia showed an innocent smile. Seeing Yang Zhixia's attitude towards Wang Haoran, Lin Tian felt a little jealous and couldn't help but interrupt. How can I dislike it? Zhixia, the dishes you cook must be delicious. I must eat a few more bowls of rice later. I didn't invite you to eat at my house. Yang Zhixia was stunned by Lin Tian's shamelessness and couldn't help but say, Hee, anyway, I won't leave today. Lin Tian laughed. Yang Zhixia rolled her eyes. She didn't know what to do with him, so she simply ignored him. Anyway, she was just cooking some rice. Yang Zhixia squatted and was about to take the vegetables to the kitchen. Let me do it, Lin Tian said enthusiastically. Seeing this, Yang Zhixia didn't refuse. If Lin Tian liked to do this kind of hard work, let him do it. Lin Tian put all the vegetables into the snakeskin bag and was about to move them to the kitchen. Yang Zhixia walked in the front and led the way. On the way, Lin Tian asked, Why don't I see your parents? They went on a long trip, Yang Zhixia said. Are you the only one at home? Then why did you let them live in your house? Aren't you afraid? Lin Tian asked in surprise. They don't look like bad people. What's there to be afraid of? Yang Zhixia said indifferently. The beautiful sister named Bufian must be a good person. But that Wang Haoran is not necessarily a good person. He looks pretentious, but maybe he is full of evil tricks. Maybe he wants to hit on you because you are beautiful. Seeing that there were only Yang Zhixia and himself here, Lin Tian began to slander Wang Haoran. However, as he spoke, he suddenly realized that Bufian and Wang Haoran were brother and sister, but they had different surnames. Lin Tian was a little confused, but soon felt that they might be cousins, so it was normal for them to have different surnames. I think you're the one who is full of evil tricks. How dare you speak ill of others behind their backs? I think that Wang Haoran is very good. Yang Zhixiao was displeased when she heard that Lin Tian was slandering Wang Haoran. Yang Zhixia, you are too shallow. Do you think he's a good person because he is handsome? Lin Tian was a little annoyed and glared at her. Don't you think that beautiful sister named Bufian is beautiful? So you think she is a good person? Who is the shallow one? Yang Zhixia asked back. Lin Tian's face stiffened, and he was at a loss for words. Now that I know what you are thinking, you have nothing to say, right? Yang Zhixia snorted. Anyway, you'd better stay away from Wang Haoran. My intuition tells me that he has feelings for you, and they are not simple, Lin Tian reminded her. Hearing that, Yang Zhixia didn't say anything, but she thought to herself that it would be good if Wang Haoran had feelings for her. Lin Tian didn't know that Yang Zhixia had fallen in love with him. Seeing that she didn't say anything, he only thought that she had listened to his words. He immediately felt much better. He had already regarded Yang Zhixia as his future wife, and he would never allow anyone else to touch her. While they were talking, Lin Tian also came to the kitchen and put down the snakeskin bag with vegetables. Yang Zhixia began to wash the rice and cook. Lin Tian stayed in the kitchen and was alone with Yang Zhixia. He didn't want to leave at the moment, so he planned to brainwash her again and ask her to stay away from Wang Haoran. However, Lin Tian had yet to start rambling when he heard the sound of footsteps coming from outside. It was Bufian who came to the kitchen. Lin Tian swallowed all the words that he was going to say to slander Wang Haoran. Let me help you, Bufian said to Yang Zhixia. During the period when Wang Haoran was away, Bufian and Yang Zhixia chatted alone for a while. Yang Zhixia was determined not to charge rent, so Bufian didn't want to live and eat for free, so she wanted to help. Chapter 641. Beautiful sister, you are a guest. How can I trouble you? Yang Zhixia hurriedly waved her hand. If you don't charge me rent, I'm really embarrassed to be a freeloader. Let me do something. To be honest, what I can do is limited. I can only cut vegetables. I don't know anything else. Bufian said, Beautiful sister, okay. Yang Zhixia nodded. Don't call me that. Just call me by my name. I'll call you Sister Zhixia. Do you think that's okay? Bufian only felt that Yang Zhixia's pure appearance was very cute. Therefore, she wanted to get closer to her. Okay, then I'll call you Sister Fian. Yang Zhixia smiled. Up to you. Bufian smiled back. I'll also call you Sister Fian. You can call me Brother Lin Tian. Lin Tian heard their conversation and shamelessly interrupted. That's a weird name. I'll call you Lin Tian. Bufian politely declined. She was originally quite friendly to Lin Tian. However, Lin Tian gave Wang Haoran a cold shoulder before. This caused Bufian's friendliness to drop a lot. Naturally, she didn't want to call Lin Tian so intimately. Lin Tian's injury was slightly lower. He didn't notice Bufian's mood. He only thought that Bufian didn't like to call others that, because Bufian gave him the impression that she was a beautiful sister with a cold temperament. Lin Tian didn't insist on it. His mouth was on Bufian. She didn't like to be called that. Lin Tian couldn't do anything about it. However, Lin Tian's thoughts about Bufian didn't decrease at all. Instead, it deepened. Lin Tian not only regarded Yang Zhixia as his future wife, but also Bufian as his future wife. In today's monogamous environment, this kind of blessing was not very possible. However, Lin Tian knew that he would become an immortal in the future after his fortuitous encounter. Since he was an immortal, He couldn't be the same as mortals. Not to mention 2 wives. He could even have dozens of wives. Lin Tian felt that he was completely worthy of it. While Lin Tian was looking forward to the future, Bu Fian had already started washing the vegetables. Lin Tian came back to his senses and wanted to help. However, this kitchen was too small. Yang Zhisha didn't want to bump into Lin Tian and be taken advantage of by him, so she directly drove him away. After about an hour, it was finally time to eat. Lin Tian brought many kinds of vegetables. Yang Zhisha cooked a little of each kind. There were 11 dishes in total. However, these 11 dishes were almost all vegetables. Yang Zhisha looked at the vegetables and said to Wang Haoren and Bu Fian embarrassedly, "It's not the time for a festival. There are only these vegetables in the countryside. Sorry to trouble you." "What are you talking about? We're freeloaders, so why would we be picky? Besides, these dishes look, smell, and taste good." "Zhisha, you were too modest before. Your culinary skills are obviously excellent," Wang Haoren praised. Being praised like this, Yang Zhisha showed a silly smile, and a faint blush appeared on her face. She said shyly, "It's just some home-cooked dishes. It's nothing difficult. My culinary skills are average. I'll have a try." Wang Haoren smiled, picked up a few pieces of cabbage with chopsticks, and put them into his mouth. He chewed a few times and gradually frowned. Seeing this, Yang Zhisha couldn't help but feel a little nervous. "Is it bad?" "It's not bad, but too delicious. What should I do if I can't eat such delicious dishes in the future?" Wang Haoren sighed. Yang Zhisha immediately turned from worry to joy and blurted out, "If you like it, I'll cook it for you every day in the future." The moment she said this, Yang Zhisha realized that she had made a mistake. However, the words she said were like spilled water, which could not be taken back. On the side, Lin Tian and Bu Fian both looked at her strangely. Yang Zhisha was the kind of girl who couldn't hide her thoughts and was easily overjoyed. Lin Tian and Bu Fian naturally saw that Yang Zhisha had a good impression of Wang Haoren from her expression and words just now. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said such a sentence. While waiting for the meal, Lin Tian was looking forward to the future. His mood was quite good, but now was not good at all. Ding! The host has damaged Lin Tian's mentality. The host has received 3,000 villain points. Lin Tian's protagonist aura minus 150, and the host's villain aura plus 150. Bu Fian's eyes moved slightly and looked at Wang Haoren, casting a suspicious look, because Wang Haoren's words just now were suspected of flirting with a girl. Wang Haoren felt that he was being sized up by Bu Fian. He made eye contact with her and pretended not to understand her eyes. "Third sister, this dish is really delicious. You should try it too." With that, Wang Haoren picked up some food with his chopsticks and put in Bu Fian's bowl. Seeing Wang Haoren's action, Bu Fian was secretly delighted. For a moment, she didn't think about whether Wang Haoren was flirting with a girl. She put the food into her mouth and tasted it. Her beautiful eyes lit up slightly. Bu Fian looked at Yang Zhisha and praised her generously. "Sister Zhisha, I didn't expect your cooking to be so good. It's better than my 7th sister's cooking. I started cooking when I was 10 years old. It's been a long time, so I'm better at it." Yang Zhisha scratched her head and said shyly. Children in the countryside were more sensible at an early age, and Yang Zhisha was no exception. Although Yang Zhisha was only 18 years old, she had all kinds of life skills. If she really got married, she would definitely be a good wife and mother. Zhisha's cooking is one of the reasons, but the ingredients are also very important. If it were other people's dishes, the texture and taste would definitely not be so good. Lin Tian interrupted. "You don't say. This dish is really a little different from what I usually eat." Bu Fian also felt it and couldn't help but add. Yang Zhisha also picked up her chopsticks and tasted it. Her big black eyes also lit up. "How did you grow these vegetables?" Yang Zhisha asked Lin Tian curiously. "It's an exclusive secret recipe. I can only tell it to my son, daughter, or wife. Do you want to know?" Lin Tian asked with a cheeky smile. "No." Yang Zhisha's desire to know was extinguished in an instant. Bu Fian was also a little curious at first, but after hearing Lin Tian's words, she didn't bother to ask. Lin Tian felt bored. Then, he thought of the business and promoted it to Wang Haoren. You've already eaten these dishes. Judging from your appearance, you should be satisfied with these dishes. However, you can only feel that these dishes are delicious for the time being. In fact, the benefits of these dishes are far more than just delicious. These dishes contain a variety of microelements that are beneficial to the human body. If you eat them for a long time, not only can you prolong your life, but also prevent all kinds of diseases. Chapter 642. Hearing Lin Tian's words, before Wang Haoren could reply, Yang Zhixia couldn't help but question him. Lin Tian, no matter how delicious they are still vegetables. How can they be as magical as you say? You're really good at bragging. I have sent these vegetables to an appraisal agency for identification. They do have these effects. Lin Tian was sure of the effects of these vegetables, but he couldn't tell the real reason. He just changed it to a reasonable explanation. What about the appraisal certificate? Show it to me. Yang Zhixia reached out. It costs a lot of money to produce an appraisal certificate. I didn't ask for it to be issued in order to save money, Lin Tian said. I think you are lying. Yang Zhixia's tone was firm. Lin Tian didn't argue with Yang Zhixia for the time being. Instead, he looked at Wang Haoren and said, I can swear that these vegetables absolutely have the effects I said. If you don't believe me, you can take these vegetables to an appraisal agency for identification. Then you'll understand. There is no need to do that. I believe you. Let's talk about the price, Wang Haoren said. Seeing Wang Haoren's straightforward look, Lin Tian couldn't help but be stunned. He thought that it would take him more effort to convince these city people. He didn't expect it to be so easy. Is this guy too gullible? No, I'm not gullible. These vegetables do have those effects. Thinking of this, Lin Tian suddenly asked for an exorbitant price. These vegetables are grown with my secret recipe. The cost is very high, so the price is relatively high. 1,000 yuan per kilogram. 1,000 yuan per kilogram of vegetables? Lin Tian, why don't you rob a bank? Yang Zhixia was anxious and blurted out. Seeing her reaction, Lin Tian was a little unhappy. This kind of displeasure was not because Yang Zhixia had exposed him, but because Yang Zhixia was speaking in Wang Haoren's position. 1,000 yuan per kilogram, right? Okay, it's a deal. Wang Haoren responded to Lin Tian. Don't believe him. Even if these vegetables are delicious, they can't be worth 1,000 yuan. Yang Zhixia felt distressed, so she tried to persuade Wang Haoren. You can't buy what you want with money. Besides, it's only 1,000 renminbi per caddy. It's not expensive. Wang Haoren didn't seem to care at all. Hearing that, Yang Zhixia didn't know what to say. When Lin Tian saw this, he only felt that he had underestimated the spending power of these city dwellers. If he had known earlier, he would have asked for a higher price. Lin Tian felt a little regretful in his heart. However, with a thought, he had another idea. Do you want ginseng, Chinese knotweed, and other medicinal herbs? Lin Tian suddenly asked. What year is it? Wang Haoren asked, even though he already knew the answer. Over 500 years old, Lin Tian replied. Nonsense. The aged ginseng and fleece flowers on the mountain behind the village have long been dug up. The rest are all newly grown. Almost none of them are more than 3 years old. Yang Zhixia questioned. The mountain is so big, there are bound to be some places that no one can go. I was lucky enough to dig it up. What's there to be surprised about? Lin Tian said. Ginseng and Chinese fleece flower were not like vegetables. The price of aged Chinese fleece flower was very expensive. It was even priceless. Of course, Lin Tian couldn't say that these ginseng and Chinese fleece flower were grown by him. If others knew about it, they might covet it. After all, he didn't think that this city dweller was a good person from the beginning to the end. It was nothing to let this city dweller know that he grew those vegetables. But if he knew that he could grow such aged ginseng and Chinese fleece flower on a large scale, the benefits would be enough to make people go crazy. Of course, Lin Tian had to be careful. After all, his current cultivation was still at the first level of the qi refinement realm. He couldn't deal with modern firearms. Even the most ordinary kind would be difficult to withstand. TSK, others can't dig it up, but you can. Are you that lucky? Yang Zhixia looked down on him. Isn't that so? My luck is just too good, Lin Tian said proudly. If it wasn't for his good luck, how could he have obtained the inheritance of the celestial venerable in the mountain? This was enough to prove that he was the son of destiny. Over 500 years old, right? Okay, I'll take it. Name your price. Wang Haoran looked like he was easy to fleece. How much do you want? Lin Tian asked. How much do you have? Wang Haoran asked back. 3 ginseng and 3 Chinese fleece flower, all over 500 years old. Lin Tian didn't dare to say too much, lest he arouse suspicion. Okay, I'll take all of them, Wang Haoran said. Seeing his reaction, Lin Tian couldn't help but be suspicious. What do you want so many ginseng and Chinese fleece flower for? Wang Haoran pretended to hesitate before replying. I have a friend who has a strange disease. He needs aged ginseng and Chinese fleece flower to treat his illness. Lin Tian was bewildered. He saw the strange look on Wang Haoran's face. The friend this guy was talking about couldn't be him, right? Strange disease. Could it be that kind of disease that's hard to talk about? This pretty boy was a scumbag. Maybe he was too indulgent and got hollowed out at such a young age. With that thought, Lin Tian carefully looked at Wang Haoran. With one look, Lin Tian immediately made a discovery. With his current level of medical skills, he could see many things just by looking. He didn't pay much attention before, but now that he looked at this pretty boy, he found that he was really weak. And it wasn't just weak. He probably couldn't even stand up when he was doing something. The vegetables he planted had the effect of nourishing the body. This pretty boy was so weak. After eating just now, he must have felt something. No wonder he was so willing to buy his vegetables at such a high price. So that was the reason. After thinking this through, Lin Tian's doubts were all gone, and he couldn't help but laugh. When Bu Fian saw Wang Haoran's reaction, she was full of doubts. Of course, she knew that Wang Haoran was lying. There must be another purpose for him to say that. But with her relationship with Wang Haoran, of course, she wouldn't expose him. Lin Tian made up his mind to extort Wang Haoran. He organized his words and began to bluff. Last time, there was also a rich man who wanted to buy the fleece flowers in my hands. He offered 5 million for each fleece flower, and the total price was 30 million. But I thought it was too little, so I didn't agree. After a pause, he changed the topic and continued. But since you're Sister Fian's brother, I can sell it to you if you offer this price. Don't believe him. The village is only so big. If there really was an outsider, I would definitely know. He's lying. Yang Zhixia glanced at Lin Tian and said. Lin Tian wasn't embarrassed because he saw through this pretty boy and was sure that he needed these herbs. 30 million. Can it be lower? Wang Haoran pretended a bargain. Not a cent less. Lin Tian looked like there was no room for negotiation. Okay, deal. Wang Haoran gritted his teeth and seemed to be very distressed. Happy cooperation. Lin Tian grinned. Wang Haoran also smiled, but in his heart. Chapter 643. Wang Haoran chuckled for a while, then seriously emphasized to Lin Tian, I'll pay you whatever you want, but what I need are genuine 500-year-old ginseng and fleece flowers, not those cheap goods. Don't worry about that. I'll dig them up after dinner. But will you test them? Lin Tian asked suspiciously. I have friends who are proficient in this field. I'll take photos and send them to them. Whether they are real or fake, we'll know soon, Wang Haoran said. After the discussion, Lin Tian quickly finished his meal and then went to the mountain to pick ginseng and fleece flowers. However, Lin Tian deliberately delayed for a long time. He had told everyone before that those ginseng and fleece flowers were found in places where ordinary people couldn't find them. Of course, it would take more time to pick them up. Lin Tian went to the secret cultivation base on a mountain, found a shady place, and slept. At the same time, something was happening in Yang Zhixia's home at the foot of the mountain. Yang Zhixia had heard the conversation at lunch. 30 million yuan for 3 500-year-old ginseng and 3 500-year-old fleece flowers was simply a sky-high price. Yang Zhixia felt sorry for Wang Haoran, so not long after Lin Tian left, she talked to Wang Haoran in private. Even if you have money, you shouldn't waste it like this. How can you believe what Lin Tian said? A rich man offered him 30 million yuan before, but he didn't sell them. Yang Zhixia suggested, even if you really need those ginseng and fleece flowers, you should negotiate with him about the price. You can't just let him say the price. How about this? When Lin Tian comes back later, you can negotiate with him about the price. Wang Haoren looked at her with a smile and didn't answer her question first. Instead, he said, you and Lin Tian are from the same village. It stands to reason that you should be closer to him. We seem to have just met today. Why do you seem to be in my position and speak for me? Yang Zhixia avoided his eyes for fear that he would see through her thoughts, so she explained that Lin Tian is famous for being a sloppy fellow. I don't like to get too close to this kind of person. It's only because I saw that he wanted to rip off an outsider like you that I spoke up for you out of goodwill. You, don't think too much about it. I don't have any other intentions. When she reached the end of her sentence, she stuttered and her face turned red. An innocent girl like Yang Zhixia was really not good at hiding her thoughts. Her explanation exposed her thoughts. You actually like me, don't you? Wang Haoren asked suddenly. No, I don't. Yang Zhixia waved her hand hurriedly, and her face became redder. We just met today. How? How could I but I fell in love with you the first time I saw you. Wang Haoren gazed into her eyes. Yang Zhixia was stunned. She didn't expect that Wang Haoren would suddenly say such a thing. Ew, don't make such a joke. There must be many beautiful girls in your city. How could you like an ignorant country girl like me? Yang Zhixia couldn't believe it. She lowered her head in self-abasement and whispered. Wang Haoren reached out and held Yang Zhixia's small hand, which had nowhere to put because of nervousness. From the first time I saw you, I was hopelessly in love with you, Wang Haoren said slowly. Hearing that, Yang Zhixia raised her head in astonishment and met Wang Haoren's eyes. I felt the same way. The first time I saw you, I felt that I had fallen in love with you. That's right, because this is the fate of our previous lives. There's a thread leading us to meet, Wang Haoren said. The fate of our previous lives. Yang Zhixia muttered in a low voice. She agreed with this statement, but she still found it hard to believe. Do people really have previous lives? What are previous lives like? Of course there were. In my previous life, I was the immortal emperor, and you're my concubine. Wang Haoren had said similar words many times. He was very familiar with it, and could say it easily. Huh. Yang Zhixia thought she had misheard. With a thought, Wang Haoren brought Yang Zhixia into the heaven-splitting pagoda. Where is this? Yang Zhixia only felt dazed for a moment before the scenery around her changed. She was shocked and dumbfounded. This is my immortal emperor pagoda, Wang Haoren explained casually. Then, he waved his hand in front of his eyes, and a series of images suddenly appeared. After reaching the peak of the Qi refinement stage, Wang Haoren had learned many more skills. These images were the concreteness of Yi Fan's memory. It was the battle scene of many immortal venerables besieging the extreme heaven devil emperor. In the images, the stars collapsed and the galaxy reversed. The immortal venerables were surrounded by spiritual qi and divine light. They couldn't be seen clearly at all. In short, it was a battle between immortals. One could only vaguely make out that it was a battle between several immortals. Furthermore, these scenes were rather brief, and they were flashing by in a hurry. Wang Haoren felt that it was about time. He suddenly waved his hand again, and the images before him vanished. On the other hand, Yang Zhixia was so shocked that she couldn't speak. In my previous life, I was besieged by several tribulation immortal venerables. We promised to meet again in our next lives. After I reincarnated, it took me a long time to recover my memories. Wang Haoren said slowly. When Yang Zhixia heard this, she was shocked. It took her a while to recover. However, she did not doubt Wang Haoren's words at all. Did you come here just to look for me? Yang Zhixia asked. The main reason is to look for you. The other reason is to look for the lost rare treasure, Wang Haoren said. Rare treasure. Yang Zhixia was shocked. When I reincarnated, the rare treasures were scattered all over the place. This immortal emperor pagoda is one of them. I found it not long ago, and after I found the immortal emperor pagoda, I sensed another strange treasure in this village. Wang Haoran suddenly sighed and continued, "The immortal emperor's pagoda is a strange treasure." He continued, "The great enemy of my previous life will find me sooner or later. These rare treasures are extremely beneficial to my cultivation. I must find them and make myself stronger. Otherwise, even if I find you in this life, I won't be able to protect you. I'll face the same fate as my previous life." When Yang Jixia heard this, she could not help but feel nervous. "Did you find a rare treasure?" "I did. It's with Lin Tian. That rare treasure of mine has the effect of hastening the growth of spiritual beings. That's how Lin Tian got his vegetables and ginseng," Wang Haoran said. "No wonder Lin Tian has these things." Realization dawned on Yang Jixia. She continued, "Since you know that the rare treasure is with Lin Tian, have you brought it over?" Lin Tian obtained the rare treasure by chance and has already made it recognize him as its master. "I can't use it even if I bring it over, unless—" Wang Haoran suddenly paused. "Unless what?" Yang Jixia pressed on. "Unless Lin Tian takes the initiative to make it recognize him as its master. I have an idea, but I'll need your help." Wang Haoran got to the point. Chapter 644. There's no need to talk about help. For our future, this is what I should do. Just tell me. Yang Jixia had already regarded herself as Wang Haoran's woman. Wang Haoran sighed and said, "It may be a little difficult for you to deceive people." "No, I have no choice." "What's so difficult about it?" "Don't mention deceiving people. I'm willing to do whatever you ask me to do." Yang Jixia's small face was full of seriousness. "All right, then remember what I said. When the time comes, do this." Wang Haoran began to instruct him. On the other side, Lin Tian slept leisurely for most of the afternoon before he began to dig up ginseng and Chinese knotweed. After digging up 3 ginseng and 3 Chinese knotweed, Lin Tian put them in a bag that he had already prepared. Then he hummed a tune and went down the mountain. However, when he was about to reach the foot of the mountain, Lin Tian deliberately dirted and even tore his clothes to make himself look unusually embarrassed. After doing this, Lin Tian went to Yang Jixia's house to look for Wang Haoran. "The 3 ginseng and 3 Chinese knotweed you need are all here. In order to dig up these things, I almost lost my life." Lin Tian carefully took out the things in the bag and showed them to Wang Haoran, pretending to be very tired. Wang Haoran went to Lin Tian's cultivation base and naturally knew that this guy was lying. However, he didn't point it out and just said, "Thank you for your hard work. It's a little hard, but your 30 million yuan can't be less," Lin Tian said. "As long as it's real, I will definitely give you 30 million yuan less." Wang Haoran promised. Then he pretended to take many photos of the Chinese knotweed. Then he casually browsed through his WeChat address book and sent them to Wenjing. He also attached a paragraph of text, asking Wenjing to call him after a while. Then Wang Haoran pretended to wait. Wenjing calculated the time and called him at the right time. Wang Haoran walked to the side and pretended to chat with Wenjing for a while before hanging up. "What did your friend say?" Lin Tian asked. "Ginseng and Polygonum multiflorum are not a problem. They are old enough," Wang Haoran replied. Without wasting any time, he took out a blank check that he always carried with him and filled in the amount of 30 million. He then signed his name and passed it to Lin Tian. "Is this check real or fake? Can I exchange it for money?" Lin Tian felt that things were going too smoothly and felt that it was a little unreal. Therefore, he was very suspicious of the authenticity of the check. "Go to the bank and exchange it. You'll know if it's real or not," Wang Haoran said. "Even if you don't tell me, I will." Lin Tian looked up at the sky. "It's almost evening. If we go to the bank in town now, it will probably be closed. We can only go tomorrow. I won't leave this place for a day or 2. You can rest assured," Wang Haoran said. "That would be for the best." Lin Tian nodded and then asked, "Do you still want that dish?" "Of course. On the first day of every week, prepare the fresh dish, and I'll get someone to bring it over. Let's temporarily set the quantity at 50 kilograms for a week. We'll increase the quantity depending on the situation," Wang Haoran said. "You want so many dishes? Can you finish them all?" Lin Tian asked doubtfully. I have a restaurant at home, and it's a chain. I'm just afraid that you don't have enough stock. Wang Haoran wanted to stall for time and stay in the village. Therefore, he casually made up a story. You can rest assured, I'll still say the same thing. I can provide as much as you want, Lin Tian said confidently. Then it seemed that we can work together for a long time. I'll get someone to write a contract and sign it. This way, both sides will be guaranteed, Wang Haoran suggested. No problem. Lin Tian also wanted to earn money steadily. Naturally, he was happy to agree. This is the advance payment. Wang Haoran took out the 1 million check that he had prepared to repay Lin Tian and passed it to him. I didn't expect that a city man like you would be so straightforward. Lin Tian happily took the check. I'll give you the money. Prepare the dishes as soon as possible. I'll call someone to bring them over tomorrow and put them in the restaurant to see the response, Wang Haoran said. Lin Tian nodded. Okay, I'll go and pick 50 kilograms tomorrow morning. I guarantee that they'll be fresh. Your restaurant will be full of customers and make a lot of money. Let's make a fortune together, Wang Haoran said. Lin Tian took the check in his hand and kissed it. He grinned and said, Let's make a fortune together. Bu Fian and Yang Zhixiao watched from the side and didn't say anything during the whole process. Fresh ginseng and fleece flowers are suitable to be placed in a cooler place. Lin Tian was afraid that the things would be spoiled, so he reminded them. Zhixia, is there a suitable place to store these things in your house? Wang Haoran asked. Put them in the cellar, Yang Zhixia replied. Wang Haoran nodded and packed the fleece flowers. Then, he was ready to move them into the cellar of Yang Zhixia's house. However, when he was moving, he pretended that he couldn't move them. So, he said to Bu Fian, Third sister, come and do me a favor. Okay. Bu Fian had just watched for a while. She knew that this guy was not telling the truth, but she didn't expose him. Instead, she even cooperated with him. Bu Fian easily carried the bag with the fleece flowers in it and went to the cellar. Wang Haoran followed her closely. Lin Tian secretly despised Wang Haoran for a while. He thought that Wang Haoran was so weak that he couldn't even compare to a woman. Then, he looked at Yang Zhixiao with a playful smile and waved the check in his hand at her. We agreed before that as long as I can get 10 million yuan as the betrothal gift, I can come to your house to propose marriage. Now that I have the money, when are you going to marry me? Lin Tian grinned. I was just joking. I can't take it seriously. Yang Zhixia hurriedly waved her hand. You are too untrustworthy. How can you go back on your word? Lin Tian was immediately displeased. Yang Zhixia really didn't want to talk to him, but she remembered Wang Haoran's instructions, so she continued to say to Lin Tian, I didn't say everything at that time. The betrothal gift is just one of my conditions. I have other conditions. Lin Tian was overjoyed when he saw that Yang Zhixia agreed. He hurriedly asked, What conditions? Tell me. I will definitely fulfill them. Of course, I want to see how good your character is. Yang Zhixia snorted. My character is definitely good. Everyone in the village knows that. Lin Tian patted his chest and said, That's not up to you. I want to test you. Yang Zhixia said with her hands on her hips. Okay, I'll listen to you. Lin Tian thought that his character was good, and he was not afraid of the test at all. By the way, how did you grow these vegetables? Yang Zhixia asked curiously. I told you that I can't tell anyone about this, Lin Tian said mysteriously. Look, I just asked you such a small thing, but you were not willing to tell me. You even said that you like me and want to marry me. I think you're not sincere at all. You have failed the test. Don't talk about proposing marriage to my family again. Yang Zhixia wrinkled her nose and said to Lin Tian. Chapter 645. Hearing Yang Zhixia's words, Lin Tian became anxious, but he didn't want to tell her his secret, so he said, This is my secret. I really can't tell anyone. If you marry me in the future, I will definitely tell you. Fine. I don't want to know. Don't dream about it. It's impossible for us to be together. I don't care even if you give me 100 billion yuan, let alone 10 million yuan. Yang Zhixia snorted and turned around to leave. Lin Tian quickly stepped forward and stopped her. Calm down. Don't be angry. No. I just want to ask you something, but you don't want to tell me. I don't want to talk to you. Yang Zhixia curled her lips and said. Lin Tian didn't want to tell her the secret, but he didn't want to give up the opportunity that Yang Jixia had given him. After hesitating for a while, he changed his words. I can tell you, but you have to keep it a secret. You can't tell anyone about it. That's more like it. Tell me about it. Yang Jixia's eyes lit up slightly. Lin Tian rolled his eyes and said, It won't take long. Tomorrow morning, I'll go to pick vegetables and sell them to the city man. Come with me. I'll tell you then. He only said these words after thinking deeply about it. Lin Tian thought that he could tell Yang Jixia his secret, but she must be his woman. Only by completely making Yang Jixia his woman would she not betray him. He would take Yang Jixia to the secret base, tell her his secret, and then say some sweet nothings to win her heart. Didn't you say that the place where you grow vegetables is far away? If I go with you, then? Yang Jixia hesitated. Who do you think I am? I won't do anything stupid. In order to make Yang Jixia believe him, Lin Tian stretched out 3 fingers and said, If you don't believe me, I can swear that if I force you to do that kind of thing, I'll die a horrible death. I'm just saying nonsense. It doesn't count. After swearing, Lin Tian hurriedly murmured in his heart. Then okay. Seeing Lin Tian's solemn vow, Yang Jixia agreed. At this time, Wang Haoren and Bu Fian returned. That's a deal. Don't tell anyone else about this. I will wait for you outside your house at dawn tomorrow morning, Lin Tian said to Yang Jixia in a low voice. Then, he didn't talk about it anymore. She didn't want that pretty boy in the city to know. Of course, Lin Tian could see that this gigolo was also interested in Yang Jixia. If the gigolo knew about this, he would definitely ruin it. After Wang Haoren came here, he acted as if nothing had happened, as if he didn't know anything. The next morning, at the first glimmer of dawn, Lin Tian waited outside Yang Jixia's home. Yang Jixia answered the appointment and came out. Yang Jixia, who had just woken up, blinked her big eyes. She still looked a little hazy, and there was some laziness on her small face. She looked extraordinarily cute. However, within this cuteness, there was also a hint of seductiveness. It was only because Yang Jixia seemed to have enough nutrition during puberty, and her curves were a little dangerous. Lin Tian really wanted to be the first person to see her true appearance. However, what Lin Tian didn't know was that someone had already done it before him, and even had a taste of it himself. Except for the last step, he had almost done everything he could. However, Lin Tian naturally didn't know this. As soon as Lin Tian thought that he was going to win Yang Jixia's heart, he was extremely excited, but he didn't dare to reveal this thought on the surface, in case Yang Jixia suddenly changed her mind and didn't go with him. You're very punctual. Let's go, Lin Tian said flatly and walked in front. Yang Jixia followed behind him. After passing through some winding mountain roads and narrow valleys, Lin Tian took Yang Jixia to the secret cultivation base. It took them some time to walk on the mountain road. At this time, the sky was a little brighter, and everything around them could be seen clearly. I've been to the back mountain of the village many times, but I never knew there was such a place. It's simply a paradise. Yang Jixia looked around and exclaimed, I accidentally found it when I was collecting firewood in the mountain that day and accidentally lost my way, Lin Tian explained. The soil here looks no different from the soil outside. Why are the vegetables grown here so delicious? Yang Jixia squatted down to look at the soil in the vegetable field and said in confusion, You look the same, but in fact, there is a big difference, Lin Tian said. What's the difference? Yang Jixia asked. Let's not talk about this first. Lin Tian waved his hand as he suddenly grinned. Jixia, I've told you my secret. Shouldn't you do something for me? You didn't say it clearly. I didn't understand it. This doesn't count. Yang Jixia shook her head. Soon, she saw a group of knotweed's branches and leaves. She ran over there and looked carefully for a while. Suddenly, she was surprised. Why are there so many ginseng and knotweed here? The branches and leaves are so lush. They must be very old. Didn't you go to other places to dig up wild ones before? Did you plant them yourself? Yes, I planted them. Since Lin Tian had brought Yang Jixia here, he had already expected this kind of thing. Naturally, he would not deny it. How did you plant them? In fact, Yang Jixia already knew in her heart, But she remembered Wang Haoran's order not to disclose this information, so she pretended to ask. The soil here is special. I planted them like this. Lin Tian didn't want to say too much, so he said vaguely, I don't believe you. I don't think you're telling the truth at all. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going down the mountain. Yang Zhixiao wanted to turn around and leave. Lin Tian stopped in front of Yang Zhixiao and said solemnly, I really didn't lie to you. The soil here is really special. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? The soil here is no different from the soil outside. How can it be because of the soil? There must be other reasons. Yang Zhixiao said with a cold look. You keep saying that you like me, but you're on guard against me in your heart, as if you're afraid that I'll tell others about you. Am I such a person? But if you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. I'll pretend that I've never been here. Don't come to me in the future. Because he had made an appointment with Yang Zhixiao to go up the mountain, Lin Tian was so excited last night that he almost didn't sleep. Of course, he didn't want to miss this good opportunity. After thinking for a while, Lin Tian suddenly said, Zhixiao, this is my secret. I didn't intend to tell anyone, but I really like you so much that I let you know it. I can tell you all the secrets, but you have to give me something. What do you mean? Yang Zhixiao asked. You know what I mean. Lin Tian grinned. Yang Zhixiao immediately understood. She was very angry and wanted to slap Lin Tian in the face. But for the sake of the overall situation, she didn't lose her temper. If you really tell me the secret, it proves that you're really sincere. If you want to show me something, I can promise you. Yang Zhixiao lowered her head and said in a low voice. Hearing this, Lin Tian only felt blood rushing to his brain and lost most of his reason.